The opening week concluded in quite the astonishing manner. Some teams were shown the exit, while some were given the second chance to life. Welcome to Android BGMS Master Series, powered by Garnier Men, where I'm going to be hosting Caster Necro and John alongside with me on the panel once again. It's going to be Scared Yet. How you doing, man? We're inside the league stage day one. That means the scoreboard is now going to be reset.
Absolutely. Everything set back to zero. I really wanted to see how things would have moved on forward if in case it was not. But either ways, the opening week was immaculate. But I'm even more elevated to see what's going to happen in the survival week.
But we've also seen some formidable teams being taken an exit from this entire tournament, right?
Yes.
Some of the known names not there in the competition anymore definitely hurts.
It definitely does, and specifically talking about teams like Team Limra, Gujarat Tigers, everyone had some high expectations from all of them, but them not basically stepping up is obviously going to be a big problem, right? Because the format is ruthless.
It is indeed ruthless. Even Godlike and Team Z could have been on the same pathway. Luckily enough, the audience, they chose them with their poll and brought them back inside of the race. Well, that's a whole other topic to speak about. But let's speak about some of the teams that are not going to be in here, right? As you mentioned, Limra, of course, first of all, that was another bunch of new players who came to play over here. And unfortunately, they're not over here anymore, considering they have been showcased the exit. The same thing can be said for FS Esports too. This team in the past year, they were doing really good. But unfortunately, in the BGMS, the performance was just lacking.
Absolutely true, and this is a very big problem, right? Because you have to utilize that power play, you have to get those early frags whatsoever, because even if you try and get some of the valuable points at the end, you still might end up being in this situation.
I mean, this is TVS Wicked Raider audience choice, and you've got Team Z and Godlike. These are the two teams that will be given the second chance to life. That means you're going to see this team compete in the league stage of the BGMS Season 3 once again. They haven't been eliminated just yet, but this also means it's a wake-up call for these two teams. If they do not wake up right now, there's a high chance we might just see their demise once again.
Absolutely, and in order for that wake-up, there have been some amazing changes in Godel, to be very honest. We'll talk about that in a while as well, because I mean, yes, GT missing the mark as well as Team Limra by quite a lot of votes, to be very honest. Not a humongous margin between GT and Godlike, to be very specific.
I mean, speaking honestly though, it's quite impressive to see Team Limra getting so much support by the audience, right? 19%, that's not bad. Knowing the fact that this team just made their debut this year itself, and Team Limra already, they've got a decent amount of fan base. So they're doing really good for themselves. Unfortunately, in this tournament, they could not really do a lot. All you can say is best of luck for the future.
I'll be brutally honest, everyone wanted to see a lot more about him, but really at this point I want to talk about Jelly a little bit, right? Because the change that I just mentioned in Godlike, it is in fact in the IGL itself. They've benched Jelly and they've brought in Z-God. So Punk will now be doing IGLing.
I mean, I like this change of taste, right? Knowing the fact that, yes, under Jelly's guidance, the team was struggling a little bit. Now you're not going to be seeing that IGL anymore. We're seeing the IGL being shifted, and that's a major shift right there.
Exactly.
That means the main tide, the main callouts are not going to be changing for Godlike.
Absolutely true. I mean, they normally would have had a drop clash with Revenant, if I'm not wrong, normally in the map of Ferrangal or Milta. But it might be possible that we'll see some changes, and changing an IGL in the mid-tournament itself is a very big thing that we always see. And let's be honest, the start for Godlike has not been very solid.
All I'm going to say is better late than never. But you know what?
Godlike में अभी 6 months हो चुके हैं already. बहुत सारे लोगों ने मेरे पे उंगली उठाई है कि IGL अच्छा नहीं है या फिर इसकी वजह से प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, बहुत कुछ हो रहा है. So मैं इतने बोलना चाहूँगा कि उंगली उठाना बहुत ज़्यादा easy रहता है. कभी मेरी जगह पे आके बैठ के देखो कि इतने बड़े फैंस जब आप लोगों को इतना सारा प्रेशर डालते हैं और इतना सब कुछ रहता है, तो आप लोगों को इतने बड़े प्लेयर्स को मैनेज करना रहता है. So काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें डिफिकल्ट रहती है, लेकिन फिर भी अपनी साइड से बेस्ट ट्राई करता हूँ हर बार कि अपना बेस्ट दे सको हर एक टूर्नामेंट में. और शायद जब तक मतलब इस ई स्पोर्ट्स सीन में हूँ, जब तक गॉडलाइक में हूँ, तब तक अपना बेस्ट ट्राई करूँगा कि एक ना एक ट्रॉफी तो गॉडलाइक को दिला के जाऊँ. और हाँ, जितने भी फैंस हम लोगों को सपोर्ट करते हैं उन लोगों को हमेशा थैंक यू बोलूँगा, क्योंकि मेरे पे बहुत सारे लोग हैं जिन लोगों ने उंगलियाँ उठाई है, लेकिन मेरे जो ट्रू फैंस हैं उन लोगों ने हमेशा मेरे को डिफेंड किया है. जैसी मर्जी सिचुएशन होती थी वो लोग हमेशा ये बोलते थे कि जेली के ऊपर ट्रस्ट है और जेली कर ही लेगा. सो थैंक यू सो मच.
But as I mentioned, better late than never, right? I mean, at this point in time, it is understandable. Yes, mid-tournament, opening week is done. Now you're moving on forward towards the league stage, and this is what matters the most. Knowing the fact that even Bounty's not going to be in action, you definitely do need to stick to your comfort zone. But Godlike making such a big change, it might just put the team in a big state of discomfort, or it might just be the change that Godlike needed.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel it could go either ways, because the confidence that Jelly showed yesterday in the interview itself, mentioning how he'll try his level best to get the team qualified no matter what, when Soren was having a conversation with him, was in fact stating the same thing he promised.
Hey, you know what? I mean, enough talks about Jelly and the interview, right? Let's just move on forward and look at this interview directly.
Look, Jelly, कोई भी अगर गॉडलाइक का हिस्सा बनता है दैट्स अ ह्यूज ऑनर, राइट? क्योंकि आप एक इतनी बड़ी टीम का हिस्सा बन जाते हैं. यू गॉट ऑल द फैंस हु लव यू. तुम ओआर के थे, आईजीएल, गॉडलाइक आए, बट इट ऑलमोस्ट फील्स लाइक आप एक ऐसी कश्ती पे सवार हैं जहाँ पे मसले बहुत हैं दोस्त.
हाँ मतलब थोड़ी सी प्रॉब्लम चल रही है, लेकिन वही है कि कमबैक डेफिनेटली हम लोग करेंगे. मैं मतलब अब जो ओनर्स हैं हमारे उनको भी प्रॉमिस किया हूँ कि एक ना एक ट्रॉफी तो मैं गॉडलाइक को दिला के रहूँगा. थोड़े से अप्स एंड डाउन्स चलते रहते हैं, अभी थोड़ा सा डाउन फेज चल रहा है, लेकिन हम लोग अपना बेस्ट ट्राई कर रहे हैं और फ्यूचर में भी बेस्ट ट्राई करते रहेंगे. अभी आज का एक मैच है उसमें ट्राई करूँगा, मैं अपनी टीम को क्वालिफाई कराऊँ और अल्टीमेटली ये ट्रॉफी के लिए पूरी ट्राई कर रहा हूँ, ये ट्रॉफी अपने साथ लेके जाऊँ.
I love this guy. लेकिन देखिए
Well, knowing the fact that now there's going to be a major change in Godlike's playstyle as well, considering there's a IGL shift itself. So I just really want to see how the adjustments now can look like. You've got Jonathan Punk on the screen. You mentioned Z-God's now going to be back in race. And you know, Jonathan and Z-God, these two guys have been playing with each other for a long time.
If I'm not wrong, even in the previous season of BGMS Season 2, we did see both of them stick together. Like, basically, they've kind of been the core of the roster. But there's a fun fact that I really wanted to talk about, right? And it's the fact that we still have just 3 players of Godlike right now on camera. Let's hope. Let's hope. Fingers crossed at this point. But alright, all jokes apart, all fun aside, I still want to see how Z-God is going to end up performing in this entire
Day,
survival week. Day is like the bare minimum thing because he has been a content creator for a while now.
That is true. I mean, Z-God, it is quite a known face in the community. Nothing taken away from that. But let's speak about another band of players now. Carpedium. This team was just formed a couple of months ago, maybe you can say. You can also say weeks ago before this tournament.
Yes.
And now they've barely managed to squeeze themselves inside of the league stage. What are your expectations going to be from this roster?
Yeah, to be very honest, it just totally depends on a heroic performance from their side because their macro, it has been looking a bit more shaky, you could say, because whenever it comes to utilizing those power plays, again, there's a lot of chaos happening in the lobby where a lot of teams are trying to go in for the third party. So it's going to take some time for the sand to settle for not just Carpedium, but also for all the other teams out there, because again it's just very aggressive lobbies in certain scenarios.
It is.
But I still feel that the potential for this team is immaculate. We have seen the players, Fierce specifically.
I mean, of course, Fierce in the past, representing such a massive banner like Revenue Esports, and we know what this man is capable of. He's supposed to be one of the most consistent fraggers in that team. You've also got Pukar, Gamla Boy in the past. They've played under the leadership of Samraj. We know every single player in this entire banner is squad experienced. Let's move on and look at this video.
खुद को साबित किया है हर बार, इस बार जीत की पुकार.
Individually, these players do pack a lot of punch and experience too, but it's a team game at the end of the day. If you're not able to gel up well as a team, if you're not able to find that click as a team, then it really does come down to you as a personal player, as an individual player, to try and make something happen. And at the end of the day, Carpedium, I mean, nothing taken away from them. They have barely managed to squeeze themselves in that league stage.
It just seems that they really need that experience that we've been talking about for a while now, because all of these players, they've got some amazing potential as well, and that's exactly what their line said, right? Because they've proven themselves multiple times in different rosters too. But this time around, they're looking for that victory. But yeah, at the same time, I really just feel it might take them a while to gel up together. But since now they are in the survival week, I think so they can have a much better opportunity at the trophy.
Hey, but you know what? Talk about the IGL change. Even Global Esports, before this tournament, they went through IGL change as well.
True.
Mavi not in the playing four anymore. You see Arsalan, who is the man who's back inside of the playing four. And still, Global Esports have been doing quite good. There's so much more to talk about, but let's move on to a short break.
Wow. Circle to search. Only on Android.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Another day, another road, and we go. Arrive with a win, moving up, we know where to begin. Wicked on the wheels, get wicked on the wheels. Arrive we go. Wicked on the wheels, get wicked on the wheels. Another day, another road, and we go.
What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? Philips One Blade. Move fearlessly. Innovation and you. Philips.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. By Garnier Men.
Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash with charcoal and vitamin C. Deeply cleanses dirt and pollution for instantly bright skin. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash by Garnier Men.
To live your life the way you want. Compete like the toughest challenger. Dance like there's no tomorrow. Celebrate every second you are alive. Life has no rule books, but we can give you a stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a new season of daily BGMI action. This time with even more competition. This time with even more comedy. With a lot more jaw-dropping moments. And also a few that many would want to forget. And for the first time ever, enjoy BGMI Master Series with Android. Welcome back to the biggest ever BGMI Carnival on national TV.
Day 3 of the opening week unfolded in quite the interesting fashion. A lot of surprises were there. The players seemed quite confident when they walked in towards the stage, but some teams knew their fate is still on the line. Their survival was still on the line.
And the survival of fittest was name of the game, where soul always shines the bright. Because again, this team played out of their mind in the entire lobby, and that was just a hunting party roaming around the maps of Erangel. And this team has always proven time after time that does not matter if they're almost at the bottom of the leaderboard, they will still make it to the top.
I mean, especially after Carpedium as well, barely managing to squeeze that cut. Carpedium's survival was on the line as well. They knew what needed to be done. Consistency should have been the key. Even for Team Limra, they were barely on the edge of making the cut. But unfortunately for them, they could not make it. This is how the game one final few moments unfolded, where we of course saw God's Reen take the cake and take that chicken dinner in the game one of Erangel.
But if you talk about consistency, I'd have to say Reckoning Esports showed immaculate consistency on day 2 as well as on day 3, at least the first map. Because in the second one, it required you to be a hero, which Hector definitely tried, but lost his members early on. 3 of them, and that was one of the main reasons we saw Carnival Gaming being taken off. It was a pretty good fight as well when Reckoning, they eventually ended up bowing down to their opponents, but Godlike really needed to pull up their socks, which they very badly failed.
After choking that fight, we saw Somraj's beautiful nade against Mogo Esports, just wiping out the entire team and also blowing up that vehicle on the back of that entity. They were of course quite bloodthirsty, and in the end, they eliminated the likes of Revenant to seal the deal and get that final chicken dinner off the day. Somraj as an eye.
यार मुझे तो लगता है कि दिल्ली दुश्मन है, क्योंकि खुद को दुख पहुंचा के ये दूसरों की परवाह करता है। और जो हमने ओपनिंग वीकेंड पे देखा है, कुछ ऐसा ही मंजर था, क्योंकि हमने शुरुआत की 24 टीमों से। 18 टीमें जो हैं दे मूव टू द नेक्स्ट फेज, लेकिन 2 टीमों की किस्मत आउट ऑफ दोस 6 वो थी ऑडियंस पर डिपेंडेंट। अब जो 4 टीमें आप ऊपर देख रहे हैं, 8-Bit, 1Blade, सोल और टीम एक्सपार्क, उनकी किस्मत देखिए, उनके ऊपर लगी होगी बाउंटी। लेकिन 2 टीमें जो अब इस लीग वीक का हिस्सा बन रही हैं, वो 2 टीमें कौन सी हैं? यू गॉट टीम गॉडलाइक एंड यू गॉट टीम जी। अब देखना ये है कि ऑडियंस ने इन्हें ओपनिंग वीकेंड पे तो बचा लिया है, लेकिन क्या किस्मत इनका साथ देगी, परफॉर्मेंस इनका साथ देगी इफ दे हैव टू प्रोग्रेस फर्दर। एंड ऑन दैट नोट, मैं आपका स्वागत करना चाहता हूं एंड्रॉइड BGMS सीजन 3 पावर्ड बाय गार्नियर मेन पे। मैं हूं सुरेन सुंदरम। लेट्स गेट द 2 बॉयज हु आर गोइंग टू डू द टॉकिंग। Godlike से Z God, and of course Team Z से we have got Scout. Boys, good to have you. Scout, ये दूसरा मौका है। जिंदगी में चांसेस उतने नहीं मिलते, बट ये लाइफलाइन मिली है ऑडियंस से। द बिग क्वेश्चन इज कि क्या यहाँ पे आप ऑडियंस का सम्मान रख पाएंगे फॉर द लव एंड द फेथ जो उन्होंने आप पे दिखाया?
100%, क्योंकि आई ऑलवेज टेल दैट कि ये चीज़ हम लोग को एक टाइप से ऑडियंस के थ्रू हमें ये स्लॉट मिला है। इट्स नॉट बिकॉज ऑफ आवर स्किल सेट जो हमने प्रूव कर पाए। लास्ट राउंड में हम एलिमिनेट हो चुके थे, हम लोग टॉप क्वालिफाइंग टीम्स में नहीं आ पाए, बट वी आर ब्लेस्ड टू हैव सच पीपल आउटसाइड जिन्होंने हम लोग इतना प्यार दिया। तो उनके प्यार के लिए हमें तो अभी प्रूव करना है। सो 100% जो हमने गलतियाँ करी थी पिछले कुछ गेम्स में, वो हम इस वीक में प्रूव करेंगे कि येस वी आर वर्थ इट फॉर द अपॉर्चुनिटी दैट यू हैव गिवन अस।
लेकिन उन्होंने ब्लेस्ड होने की बात की, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है यार समवेयर आई डोंट फील ब्लेस्ड, क्योंकि गालियाँ खाऊंगा मैं, क्योंकि मैंने कल जेली से बात की थी, वो IGL था एंड दैट्स व्हाट वी हैड दिस कॉन्वर्सेशन अबाउट। लेकिन अब जेली जो है वो IGL नहीं है, इट्स पंक। व्हाट हैपेंड देयर ब्रो?
एक्चुअली मतलब टीम का म्यूचुअल डिसीजन था, क्योंकि टीम की परफॉर्मेंस आ नहीं पा रही थी इतने टाइम्स, तो म्यूचुअली सब साथ में, बट ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि कुछ सीन हुआ टीम के अंदर। बाकी जेली ने बोला कि मैं स्टेप डाउन कर लेता हूँ, तुम 4 ट्राई कर लो, अगर परफॉर्मेंस आती है तो बस उतना सा।
ओके, आऊँगा, इस पर भी आऊँगा। स्काउट, एक IGL की तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि मैं जगह खा गया हूँ, बिकॉज ही डिड एन इंटरव्यू। लेकिन इंडिविजुअल परफॉर्मेंस की बात करते हैं, हमने जितने भी मैचेस देखे हैं उसमें यू आर वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट नेम्स व्हेन इट कम्स टू दिस गेम। BGMI की हम बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन अब तक सिर्फ एक फिनिश आया है। स्काउट, इज दैट अ मैटर ऑफ कंसर्न? क्या वो परेशान करेगा?
100%, वी फेल्ड एज अ टीम, सो इट्स अ टीम गेम, इट्स नॉट मोर अबाउट इंडिविजुअल ग्लोरी। बहुत लोग यहाँ पे इंडिविजुअल किल्स को ग्लोरीफाई करते हैं, बट दे ऑलवेज फॉरगेट इट्स अ टीम गेम। तो अगर आपकी टीम आप सिंक नहीं कर पा रहे हो, देन यू फेल एज एन IGL। मी बीइंग एन IGL एंड वन ऑफ द फिल्टर्स ऑफ द टीम, आई पर्सनली फील मेरा काम ये होता है कि टीम को साथ रख के गेट द मैक्सिमम परफॉर्मेंस आउट ऑफ द टीम। and not focus on the glorification of the solo players.
Alright, G-God, 4 मैचेस उसमें से 2 तुम खेले हो and we've seen this chopping and changing जब टीम Godlike की बात आती है. Now we know कि focus जो है वो बाकी चीज़ों पे भी था. So that one moment जब तुम बाहर बैठे हुए हो, you're not part of the playing for, suddenly आना, तुम अपने आप को मोटिवेट कैसे करते हो यार कि कभी भी कॉल अप आ सकता है?
मोटिवेट करने वाला सीन नहीं, मतलब मैं हमेशा प्रिपेयर्ड ही रहता हूँ क्योंकि कभी भी ये सिचुएशन आ सकती है. वही है कि अभी ये टीम को कब ज़रूरत पड़ जाए कब नहीं, तो खुद को वैसे प्रिपेयर करके रखता हूँ. जब भी टीम को ज़रूरत पड़ती है आके खेल लेता हूँ. ऐसा कुछ
प्रेशर है?
प्रेशर नहीं,
पक्का नहीं है?
बहुत टाइम हो गया अभी खेलते हुए, प्रेशर नहीं आता.
एंड जस्ट आखिरी सवाल, स्काउट हम इन सारी टीम्स की बात कर चुके हैं. जो 2 टीमें आई हैं वो Godlike है और तुम हो. क्या तुम्हें इस बात पे भी थोड़ा सा एक गुरूर है कि Godlike से ज़्यादा वोट से फैंस ने तुम्हें अंदर भेजा है?
दिस इज समथिंग जिसके लिए गुरूर तो कुछ होना ही नहीं चाहिए. अगर गुरूर है तो भाई बहुत गलत मेंटेलिटी में लौंडा जिसको भी गुरूर होगा. बट आई पर्सनली फील दिस इज नॉट समथिंग विच यू नीड टू बी प्राउड ऑफ. ये एक टाइप से आपके फैंस ने आपको सपोर्ट किया है, आपको सेकेंड चांस दिया है, तो इसमें प्राउड वाली कोई बात नहीं है. उनकी बोलते हैं ना कि उन्होंने जो ट्रस्ट दिया है वो ट्रस्ट को हमें तोड़ना नहीं है अब, फॉर बोथ द टीम्स.
Alright, listen, दोनों टीम्स आ चुकी हैं. Godlike and Team Z are going to be a part of the 20 जो अब इस लीग वीक का हिस्सा होंगी. अंदर क्या बातें चल रही है स्टूडियो में with our casters? Let's go back to them.
Godlike and Team Z, the 2 chosen team by the audience. Once again, we'll have another lifeline to compete in the league stage of the Season 3 of BGMS. And as we know, now Godlike, they have went through a major step, changing the IGL itself, and now under the leadership of Punk. What do you think?
I really want to see how it eventually will pan out, right? Because the format is really unforgiving. We've been talking about it. So I want to see how Punk is going to just fill in the shoes that now Jelly has left behind.
Exactly. And speaking of the format, we know the opening week has been concluded yesterday itself. And now we have currently stepped in the league stage day 1, where a lot of new things will be introduced. We'll talk about that slowly and steadily. But in the league stage day 1, we know all the scoreboard, it's going to be reset. But the top 4 placing teams from the opening week now have a bounty on their head.
I love that concept, to be very honest. I know we were discussing as well. We've got both our opinions at the end of the day, but I'm really excited about how it's going to unfold.
Exactly. I mean, the format is in front of us, so it's better to explain when you've got the visual representation in front of you. The opening week has been concluded on the 21st July itself. We're now currently inside of the league week, where 20 teams are going to be participating, and top 4 teams will directly qualify for the finals, and from the remaining teams, we'll move on forward towards the playoffs.
Absolutely. The ranking 5 to 20 will be the teams that will move to the playoffs, which will have those 16, and only 12 of them will qualify for the finals, where they'll be reunited with those top 4 who qualified beforehand and basically had some time to take some rest, eat some popcorns, maybe watch some Crunchyroll anime.
Well, maybe. I mean, you're a big fan of anime, right? And yeah, you know what? We've been speaking about the bounty on the top 4 teams, which did manage to place in the opening week in the overall standings. And this is what I'm talking about. 10 bounty points will be given if you manage to get an entire squad wipe on the team that has got the bounty on their head. And currently, I mean, speaking of those teams, it's 8-Bit, One Blade, Aiku Soul, and Team X-Spark.
Absolutely. All these teams will carry that bounty points on top of their heads. Now, we were talking with the players as well off cam, and they mentioned that they did not really want it to be in the top 4 right away because they know they're going to be targeted. But here's the fun fact. You need to wipe out every single player of that squad. If even one of them is alive and is finished off by someone else, then that means you will not get the bounty points. But there's another fun fact. That bounty will keep getting updated, so the teams will constantly change.
Exactly. I mean, as the overall standing keeps on changing, as the top 4 keeps on changing, so according to that, the bounty will keep on changing as well. It's not just going to stick to that one single team. So off the rip after the first game, if you see some other set of teams in the top 4, well, then the bounty will be on their head too. So you got to make sure you're not being in the top 4, but at the same time, maybe just performing as consistent as possible. But can you really take it away? If you are in the top 4, it is something to be proud about, but at the same time, you know now you're going to be hunted down.
If you're a One Piece fan, you're going to love the bounties, right? We always live for that. I know, Necro, I'll explain it to you later, but yeah, it's going to be a moment of pride for them.
Well, let's move on and look at today's schedule. Match 1, as usual, it's going to be a wrangle, and the match 2, or at the end of the day, it's going to be on the map of Miramar. And we have been seeing the groups playing in here too. ABCD to kick things off, and ABCE to end things off on today's day.
Absolutely. Just one game for both D as well as E groups, but it's absolutely fine. You've got a humongous week after this, and you've got a lot of matches to play around with. But yes, setting the momentum, setting the pace is going to be the name of the game, because there were quite a lot of those teams who were not able to perform right off the bat. And I'm not talking about 8-bit, I'm talking about teams like Carpedium. So you want to see them excelling forward.
And let's speak a little bit more about some of the teams that were not able to qualify, right? Vikings, GT, FS. I mean, all these names, even including Limbra, they have been performing really good in the past performances, at least in the different tournaments. But now moving it forward towards the BGMS, which really forces these teams to play more aggressive, they have sort of fumbled down. And there's so much more to talk about these teams and even more. But for now, let's toss on to a short break.
Wow. Circle to search. Only on Android.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Time to test the waters. Tell me how you wanna leave. Now you hear me roll like raw in my beastly mode. Now wow, wicked unleashed. Yes, wicked. All the cuts and the curves. So wicked. Take what you deserve. It's wicked.
TVS Raider, unleash your wicked. Red Bull gives you wings.
そんな場所だ。全部壊してみっか。俺は塔のてっぺんに登るんだ。
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Ghanaian Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Ghanaian Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. By Ghanaian Men.
What's up, everyone? Come on in.
I got 100 ways that I could make you look. You cannot read me, I ain't no page in a book. But there's 100 ways that I could make you look.
Wow.
Make you make you look.
Wow.
Look, make you look.
Shave it.
What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? Philips One Blade. Move fearlessly. Innovation and you. Philips.
そんな場所だ。全部壊してみっか。俺は塔のてっぺんに登るんだ。
Red Bull gives you wings.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Ghanaian Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash with charcoal and vitamin C. Deeply cleanses dirt and pollution for instantly bright skin. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. Ghanaian Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash by Ghanaian Men.
To live your life the way you want. Compete like the toughest challenger. Dance like there's
Welcome back after that short commercial break, but before we move on to the first game of the day, just gotta let you guys know one thing. TVS Raider is our mobility partner. It's not just all about looks. There is a Smart Connect version with 99 connected features. And guess what? It apparently comes with a 5-inch TFT screen. Now, isn't that wicked?
Absolutely. You know, we've already made sure that Arca is going to get one for himself. I think so.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Iron Man Edition is gonna suit you, Necro.
Iron Man Edition, interesting. I'm actually a big fan of Black Panther. I mean, Iron Man, yes, I'm a big fan of him as well, but the Black Panther Edition, in my opinion, it looks better.
Wakanda forever. That's what I'd say. But
Oh,
yes.
You gotta do it, huh? You really gotta do it. But yeah, let's move on forward and speak a little bit more about the upcoming game, right? Group E is not gonna be participating in that game, so that means Revenue Esports, Global Esports, Entity, and Mogo aren't gonna be playing the first game of the league stage.
Yes, that is true. The opening is going to be again by X-Bar, God's Reign, Orangutan, Team Tamilas. You know, let's talk about X-Spark a little bit out here. This Spark knows when to turn into a humongous wildfire. Now, this is again a team that has shown constant good performances. We talk about God's Reign. This team steps up whenever push comes to show, but at the end of the day, OG, they've been those constant performers, right? And I really want to see how Team Tamilas are going to move forward through the survival week.
All of that is fine. Yes, X-Spark, they are quite glorified. They have been doing quite good for themselves. But this might be the first time where that spark might just not come through. Because they've got a bounty on top of their head. Definitely some of the teams will be looking forward to hunt them down. Imagine if you hunt them down, if you manage to get a successful squad wipe, you get 14 points. Who wouldn't want that?
I agree to all of that. But imagine if they pull off something what WSB pulled on day one, game one. 16 points right away. So it's a high risk, high reward play, right? Because you know you're going to get targeted. You will try your level best to try and set up a defensive line where you can actually take on not just one, but at least two squads.
And even OneBlade has been doing quite good for themselves, right?
Yes.
Overshadowed by teams like IQ Soul, X-Spark, and 8-Bit. We need to speak a little bit more about OneBlade. What are your thoughts about them, man? How are the players performing?
Again, the consistent performances coming in from their side, being in the top 5 every single time, getting those crucial picks during the power plays. That's when we always see these teams shine, even though they're not on top of the leaderboard. But you still have them consistently in place where you can maybe not see them, because that's probably what Revenant also tried to pull on day one.
WSP, the revamped roster now in front of us. Some of the old players, yes, they're definitely there, but the newer players, they're definitely bringing in that spark, that shine that WSB was missing in the past, maybe. In the past, WSB was supposed to be the powerhouse, the most aggressive team that the Indian region had to offer, but then some of the newer names came in forward and sort of overshadowed WSB's performance. I'm speaking of the new names like God's Reign. God's Reign yesterday played phenomenally well. Off the rip, they started things off in quite an impeccable manner.
If I'm not wrong, this exact same roster used to play under a different name, right? Previously under a different banner. If I'm not wrong, that was Kevin as well. So again, the performance by this team is almost similar with the way how they drop out. They try to tank a couple of early blues and then move in once the stage 4 hits. And then they kind of just finish everyone off and win the entire game. That's what they did yesterday in Erangel as well. So I want to see how they're going to move forward right now, but the same could be said for Carnival Gaming as well.
I mean, God's Reign, yes, they do pack a lot of punch, but one thing they lack is the experience. But they've also been the grand finalists of the official BGMI tournament in the past.
Yes.
So you can say it sort of adds on a little bit more to the experience. And knowing the fact that BGMS really favors the teams that like to start things on the aggressive note, considering there's also going to be bounty that's going to be applicable. So just imagine, man, bounty, if you manage to wipe out the first squad, or if you manage to wipe out the team that's got the entire bounty on themselves, you're going to be getting 14 points to start things off. And if you do that in the power play itself, that's going to be 18 points.
I mean, just wait till the weekend begins, right? And we've got one more spice up with the impact player on the table, and we talk about how you can actually get so many points by just one player wiping out the entire enemy squad. That's basically the stream world out there which I'm talking about. We'll talk about that later, but at the end of the day, it is always the night. That's what I always say, but then there's a new dawn that always comes up. I want to talk about a few things, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later in a span of the short break.
What's up, everyone? Come on in.
I got 100 ways that I could make you look. You cannot read me, I ain't no page in a book. But there's 100 ways that I could make you look.
Wow.
Make you make you look.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Another day, another road, and we go. Arrive with a win, moving up, we know where to begin. Wicked on the wheels, get wicked on the wheels. Arrive we go. Wicked on the wheels, get wicked on the wheels. Another day, another road, and we go.
To live your life the way you want. Compete like the toughest challenger. Dance like there's no tomorrow. Celebrate every second you are alive. Life has no rule books, but we can give you a stage.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. By Garnier Men.
Shave it, shave it, shave it, shave it, shave it, shave it, shave it.
What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? Philips One Blade. Move fearlessly. Innovation and you. Philips.
Wow. Circle to search. Only on Android.
Red Bull gives you wings.
そんな場所だ。全部壊してみっか。俺は塔のてっぺんに登るんだ。
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash with charcoal and vitamin C. Deeply cleanses dirt and pollution for instantly bright skin. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash by Garnier Men.
Just moments away from beginning the first game of the day. Every single player and every single team, they seem locked in and loaded, just waiting to be unleashed in the battlegrounds.
To be very honest, there's one team that I really wanted to talk about, right? Who do not unleash themselves in the battleground right away from the get-go. And a team that has never utilized the power play whatsoever, at least in the first 3 days, and that's Team Forever. They've got 16 finishes and only 16 finish points.
Well, I guess they don't really follow the rules. They don't really care about the rules that are applicable to this tournament. They do not care about the power play. They want to stick to their main core playstyle, and that is to play it quite safe. They do not want to go for the action off the rip. Instead, they want to take all the fights in the final few moments and then go for the direct finishing blow.
Yeah, absolutely. They like to prioritize their positionings first, and then they try to play along with the circle as well. And that is exactly one of the main reasons why this team is still pretty comfortable in that leaderboard, even sitting in that top 8 position. But honestly, a team that could not make even in the top 18 was Team Z. That was brought back by the audience poll, and we've again heard the promises mentioning that they will perform. I really want to look forward specifically from their side and moving on towards the aggressive end of the spectrum.
Honestly speaking, we also need to talk a little bit more about Godlike over here, man.
Yes.
Changing the IGL is quite a massive move, and also given the leadership now in the hands of Punk, I genuinely think so this is definitely going to be quite a good change. It is a drastic change, nothing taken away from that, but I still think so we might see some effective results in the hands of Punk, because in the Season 2, Punk was doing quite a great job bleeding his past team, which was VLT.
Yeah, I really wanted to touch upon the same point as well, that he has already got a good amount of experience of IGLing a team. He knows how to play it around, and if I'm not wrong, VLT was the team that were the second runner-ups of the event. So grabbing that third place as well gives you a lot of confidence boost in these situations. So I really want to see how it's eventually going to pan out, but I have hopes.
Well, here we go. You do not need to wait any longer. The game one off the league stage, day one, begins now. As the wrangle boots up on the screen, the plane flight path starts all the way from Sosnovka military base, or maybe you can't say Novorupnoy, towards Georgiapol. This plane flight path is going to be quite decent, but if the players do want to move in towards Yasna Poliana, then it's going to be a tough stretch.
And as you mentioned, we've seen this fly path as well. It's not just the first time. Again, this plane always decides to try and take some shenanigans of those paths. But to be very honest, if you're anywhere who want to jump in over towards the military base island, they would really want to just be easy for you because, I mean, it's way too very close. But again, we have seen Team Forever not dropping in over towards the ferry pier, which was basically normally the rotation that Ash used to call when he was in orangutan. They tried to go in over towards the other paths, but Team Z, they love to move in over towards the military base, and this time I don't think so they're going to face any problems as well.
Exactly. I mean, the problems are definitely not going to be there. But then if you talk about some of the stuff that is currently happening on the screen, Team Z off the rip dropping down in Sosnovka military base. You've also got 8-Bit moving in towards Ferropier and Primorx. That's where they like to go. I just want to see which team is going to be the team to start off with a banger, because there is a bounty on the 4 teams.
I don't think so anyone's going to try and claim that bounty right off the rip, but you really want to see that. I specifically want to see Team Tamilas and all those teams try and go ahead for it. But I mean, there's quite a bit of a cluster forming in over towards...
Look at Pochinki.
Exactly, Pochinki.
Drop collision once again between Carpedium and their opponents. And off the rip, you start things off where WSB unfortunately losing out on Gods and Arman, and that's not a good start for themselves. But looking at IQ Soul as well, fighting things off against the foe in the front. This collision is looking quite unorthodox, but at the same time, if the players are ready to take it, you might as well. The elimination feed off the rip is just dancing. That means a lot of these teams want to take the advantage of the power play. And that's where Knuckle, this man, is positioned to success. Knuckle holding that angle definitely is quite the off one. OG, they might just start to feel the nerves. They might just start to feel the pain of the bullets. But right now, it is definitely shattering their will. IQ Soul, all the 4 players up and live. OG taking down a 3-man squad. It is quite a rough pill to swallow, but OG, they need to keep on moving up with that. They need to get this man advantage neutralized.
They can possibly take down Knuckle. Again, he does not have a very good weapon out there. Just drop down to a pistol. So you have to work around with it. You basically have to rely on your other teammates, right? And again, we're talking about it. Soul has also got a bounty over on top of their head. So if OG are able to take them all down, that's going to be some insane amount of points already. But wait a second. X-Pac are also on the receiving end.
Raven this time. They want to go for the bounty, my friend. They've already managed to take down 2 players, or 1 player, my bad. And taking that 1 player down, that's going to grant them 2 points in total. Even Sarang and Spray God are not going to hit the deck. Ninja Jot is trying his best to fight back, and Hulk gets eliminated from the game too. The elimination feed is going quite berserk. Spray God gets finished off by Hanzo. So many fights happening at the same time. So many teams wanting to claim that bounty for themselves. Even OG, they want to get their hands on the bounty. They know it's 14 points off the rip to start things off with. Or not 14. If you do manage to take him down in the power play itself, that's 18 points.
Exactly. You talk about a buffer, that's basically the best buffer you could even ask for. Aim God, Hanzo, both of them remaining right now. Reaper has been brought back on his feet, so they've got the numbers advantage against the members of X-Pac. But do you really want to take fight against Ninja? Ninja, the MVP.
He's also got the DBS in the hand, so that just makes him even more deadlier. And now he exposes himself. He wants to push up close and personal. Goes back once again in cover. Raven Esports with the man advantage. They can decide to push together, but they're not doing so just yet. Sarang, position is compromised. Hanzo, wanting to create that off angle, gets the confirmation onto Sarang. Now AimGod is looking forward to push up close and personal as well, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. And just like that, 18 points in the hands of Raven Esports. What a way to start things off.
Absolutely phenomenal play. And guess what? They did not even lose a lot of members. They only lost 1 person, and that is quite okay. You can still work around with the 3-man squad. And with the way how they went in for that approach, they finished off Sarang first, making sure that there's no passive information being provided to Ninja, and then went in as all three people together from different avenues. Let's see how much your DBS can do with a couple of burst shots.
I mean, at this point in time, OG is just wasting their own time, right? It's a stalemate. IQ Soul, yes, being held off as well. But then IQ Soul, especially a little bit in the outskirts. They've got the entire area control in their hands. Apartments in the hand as well. And they've also got the man advantage, so you can't say it right now. All the stars are aligned for IQ Soul, but still a little bit hesitant in taking that fight because they do not know the exact positions the opponent's holding.
And you're talking about holding a position, Trigger as well. He's just trying to keep his life at this point for WSB so that they don't get eliminated early on. It seems like they can't really replicate what happened in the opening week with them, because that time they were able to wipe the floor out of all the teams that tried to push against them. But this time around, Carpedium, they seem to be a bit more ready for them. But the stalemate, this has been actually been this way for such a long time, and I don't really feel like if players would all be having some decent amount of loots after this, even though.
I mean, looking at this entire circumstance, IQ Soul, they just want to bait out a couple of shots from the foes, right? Just to get that confirmation, know exactly where the opponent's position. But OG, none of them have any sort of intentions to give it away. This fight, in my opinion, is not good. Especially you're inside of compounds, you're inside of a building, and you do not have any sort of utilities to back yourself up, so you cannot clear the angles. So for IQ Soul, this might just not be a good fight to take, but at the same time, they know it's the power play. And if they do manage to take all the 4 players down, that's going to be 8 points off the rip.
Talking about those early 8 points, I also wanted to talk about the fact, as I mentioned, that I want to see Team Tamilas as well go on a bit more aggressive route, was because of the fact that 8-Bit and Tamilas, they both have kind of got the similar drop around the Primorsk area. But yeah, they don't really like to play around that. True, that's the whole thing. But I wanted to, man. Let me be hopeful at this point. Just like how I'm hopeful that this fight is going to break out early.
I mean, Veron's taken down quite early. That's the only thing we've seen happen so far in this fight, other than Team Xbar get completely eliminated. And Raven Esports taking the advantage of that bounty as well, so that's the icing on top of the cake that they needed. Perfect. IQ Soul slowly and steadily moving up. All the 4 players in that same building. And still, no one is even budging from the side of OG.
And it's not just these 2 teams, right? If you're watching the map feed as well, you can see that no one is taking a fight anywhere, apart from the fact that you might probably see Team Tamilas chase out 8-Bit. That's probably what's happening. But again, I really want to see if it's going to be a collision or not, because over towards Georgiapol as well, we're going to see the same things. Few teams in the vicinity of each other, but no fight. And here we go. Tamilas up against 8-Bit.
Oh, finally the fight breaks out. I guess the pathways they meet. Team Tamilas being pushed out of their comfort zone. This is not something you see Team Tamilas trying to do. And 8-Bit, they've got a bounty on top of their head. So I guess maybe Team Tamilas getting a little bit greedy. They want to go for this fight. They know if they get a complete squad wipe, it's just going to be even better. The icing on top of the cake they needed, but then Mighty arrives. And this man has been quite mighty in the Season 3 so far. Team Tamilas, they might just have a team that they would not have want to face off against. 8-Bit slowly and steadily, once again, clenching their fists as they're trying their best to get the fight under their belt. Utilities being tossed to perfection. Mr. IGL takes a bit of that damage, but then he pulls out the shotgun up close and personal. Aditya gets shut down. 8-Bit. It's a tough pill to swallow, but slowly and steadily, this entire team is now starting to crumble down, but they're still fighting back in a great fashion. Mighty's taking too much damage upon himself, and even Mighty now falls down. Team Tamilas slowly and steadily making sure that they're getting a tight grip around the necks of Team 8-Bit. And just like that, they wiped out the entirety of Team 8-Bit. The bounty is now being claimed by the players of Team Tamilas. Solid stuff.
Not just one, but 2 of the teams who had bounty on their head have been eliminated so early on. Necro, I know you're the happiest man in the room.
I mean, I am happy, but Team Tamilas taking this sort of a decision has sort of shook me because you've
I
never
know.
seen Timilas go so aggressive. I mean, I've casted this team so many times, and usually Team Timilas, all they do is just, yes, prioritize Primorsk and Fair Appear, and then later on just directly move in towards the centric side of the circle. They do not go for any sort of unwanted fights. But this time, for the first time, you see Team Timilas prioritizing that and instantly just going for that bounty. And that's really phenomenal.
It's a high risk, high reward at the end of the day. You've still got 3 people standing up on their feet, and you also have 18 points now in your hand to work around with such a beautiful cushion. But since we're already talking about the cushion, right, that's exactly what Soul has also built up. Not losing even a single member, wiping out Orangutan. I think so it was just Wizjord who was able to find 1 knock onto Soul, but that was about it. He could not close it all out. It was Ronnie, Knuckle, everyone winning on their own crucial fights.
OG, they failed to claim that bounty.
Yeah, they tried.
They tried.
Brownie points for them.
At least you can't say Aiku Soul's bounty is still up for grabs, right? Considering they've got all the 4 players still alive. So if anyone manages to wipe them out, that's going to be like 4 points in total for the eliminations and also the bounty points. That's still 14 points up for grabs. Even One Blade, I'm just surprised that no one went for One Blade.
And as you've already mentioned about One Blade, I'm just trying to figure out where they actually are. in the
Oh, One
entirety of
Blade
the
as
map.
well. They're going to get targeted soon by God's Reign. God's Reign's on the prowl. They're on the hunt. But this is how the fight really unfolded. Aiku Soul, they started things off on a great note where they managed to find the initial knockout. Then later on, also had God's Reign take a fight. It was Team X-Park. Not bad. Team X-Park getting eliminated.
Again,
Just,
Raven.
yeah, I guess a little bit of fault from the technical side. But, yeah, Aiku Soul now just straight up charging inside of that entire building, wiping out their foe, which was OG that was holding them back for so long. And Aiku Soul, I'm pretty sure they're going to get that sigh of relief. Luckily enough for them, they also managed to wipe out the entirety of OG in the power play itself, so that's going to grant them 8 points.
It's understandable. These teams can actually go and take that risk. I was not hoping OG to take the risk right away, right? Because you only have got 1 game today, and that too of Erangel. Again, the team being in the Group D. So they won't be playing the second one, but at the same time, the circle has been very centric. I mean, a lot of those teams would eventually be happy. Most of them could go in for easy rotations, over towards almost somewhere around center, maybe off center you want to be. If you're Soul, I don't think so you would want to move anywhere away from school. The next probably 1 zone at least, unless it's a hard shift, should fall on you. 2 maybe.
Isn't it crazy to think about some of the best performing teams were getting targeted off the rip like that?
Yep.
Aiku Soul, Team X-Park, who would even think to take a fight against those best performing teams? But OG, they went against Aiku Soul. And then you also saw Team X-Park get completely eliminated from the game. So it is definitely quite astonishing in my opinion. But for the teams who did manage to claim that bounty, as you mentioned, it's a high risk, high reward. Now they have so many points to kickstart things with. Raven Esports, who would have thought this Undergod team would just come out swinging like that?
18 points and counting. That's the whole point about it, and counting. Because you can still collect a few extra points now. You can't get the power play extra points, but just a few villains left, right, and center. Maybe get some position points if you're in a good position. You'd be able to have such a great early cushion. But at the same time, I really want to see, yes, Team Tamilas, they went aggressive, but I want to see something more from their side. But we'll just have to wait and see how their aggression is going to pan out, because normally, as Necro mentioned as well rightly, that this is not a team that likes to play that aggressive early on. They just like to take things slow, take their time, and they are around Team Forever right now. Team Forever, this time around again, being over towards the southern part of the main island. Will probably try and take their rotations as well, depending on where the circle's going to form. But in the meantime, we still have Vashishta Esports, a team that was doing such a phenomenal job early on during the survival week itself. That opening week, this team showcased such a great resilience, specifically getting 2 second position finishes right under the noses of all the top dogs. But since we're already talking about one, let's look at one. Godlike, definitely a top tier team out there, has been revived, resurging, giving an opportunity by their fans themselves. And since we are talking about the bounty system, 10 bounty points will be rewarded, but only if your team is able to take down all the 4 players of the other team. So just like how Team Tamilas took down the entirety of 8-bit themselves, they will get 10 additional bounty points. So they've got 8 finish points right now, but they're in total of 18 points. Same thing goes for Raven as well. They're up at 18 points. So if we're talking about them, they're still going to stay at 8. But yeah, an early cushion which we always talked about. And this is kind of reminding me of the fact how previously as well, when we saw the map of Erangel, and that was yesterday, Seoul was able to quickly secure so many points. They were on a hunting party at this situation. But I still want to see how things will eventually pan out slowly and steadily. Because at the end of the day, we have to see how Seoul is going to try and play with that aggression. But hey, since we're already talking about that, there we go. Team Tamilas now taking on an aggressive note against Team Forever. Ekro, because we have seen this team play it slow, but this time around they want blood.
Oh, Team Forever finally stepping up as well, right? Wanting to go for that fight. They want to prioritize this compound. They know this compound looks quite nice. Team Tamilas, they've always been really good prioritizing the center of the zone, and that's why Team Forever, if they do manage to wipe out Team Tamilas, one thing is for sure, they will have a really good stance and a really good position inside of this zone. I mean, you've got Maxi OP knocked out for now. IGL still on his feet behind that container. Utilities being tossed. Confirmation onto Maxi right there. Mr. IGL all by himself, left alone behind that container. And 3 players looking for to pounce on top of the opportunity. And just like that, IGL, even he's been eliminated.
But I still feel that they've actually secured such a good amount of points already early on. 18 with the bounty as well. So I don't think so they're going to be sad about it. And again, the streak for Team Forever continues. Getting those 3 finishes as well. Awarding them 3 finish points. Not stepping into that power play. So they're going to be making sure that they still have got a good possibility of those points for the later stages too. Normally, we see this team play it slow, but wait a second. It seems like Godlike kind of want to take a fight against the members of Team Forever because that's exactly where they are trying to move right now.
Oh, this is what you see, the shift. Punk now as the IGL, taking the team a little bit more aggressive, knows that there's a hurt team right there outside of the zone, and they want to capitalize on that. 2 of the players leading the charge. It's going to be Punk and Admito himself. And then Jonathan and his teammate moving from the back instantly. Jonathan and Z-God moving in tandem. Team Forever currently pinned in that same compound. Does Godlike really want to go for the execution though? If they do want to go for the execution, it is a good thing. It might just uplift their confidence as well in the game itself. But if they do get wiped out right here, then that's a tough pill to swallow for the fans as well. God's Reign now starting to take a fight against the team that has got the current bounty on their head. Or no, instead it's Reckoning Esports they're taking a fight against. They were targeting One Blade a while ago, and now this time God's Reign, as they collide against the big Goliaths, Reckoning Esports themselves, they start to fumble down. They start to panic, and you see some of the players on the side of God's Reign instantly wanting to take an exit from that entire fray.
Hunters was able to get at least 2 Venom as well. He's fallen down. I think so that's a full-fledged elimination for Reckoning, if not just 1 player might be remaining for their side.
Yeah.
That is such a great play coming in. I mean, God's Reign, they're losing all 3 of the members, but this time, since we're talking about Godlike, I want to see them take on Team Forever.
Just waiting for the right moment to strike, right, Punk? And Team Forever, the players have finally sat inside of their vehicles, looking pretty comfy. Punk hasn't striked yet, and Team Forever, they've got no clue that they're getting eyed out. Punk's still in the outskirts. He's taking that constant chip damage from the blue itself. And now Punk spots out the rotation. Sees that vehicle as well. Takes a couple of shots, unfortunately misses everything.
Oh!
But he finds the knockout as well in return. That was a really nice knock from Punk. That's going to be the first point in the hands of Godlike. A little bit of an uplifter when it comes to the confidence that was desperately needed for Godlike. And now Team Forever, they finally do start to spot out every single player from the side of Godlike. You see Team Forever instantly spreading themselves out, wanting to create some off angles on this fight. Admino, it's better to reposition at this point in time. His position's capitalized, and that's what he tries to do. But unfortunately, his vehicle was exposed that he tries to get in.
His teammates are there to try and support him as well, but Zgod on the other side, a bit too low, does not want to take in that fight. Jonathan finally comes in up close and personal. Omega cooking up a frag. He needs to land it perfectly. That's a 3-point. Is it going to go perfect?
Oh my God!
It is, but just the vehicle saving the life, and it's in between the containers. Therefore, Omega is going to run out, jumping through that ridge. We'll move inside the warehouse now, but this is just a perfectly cooked nade. Zgod.
Finding Omega as well. Solid stuff from Godlike. Preying on the team that was already quite hurt outside of the zone. And even the stance they took in the fight was quite nice, right? Waiting for the right moment to strike. Not getting too eager for the execution.
And the best part about that was, Punk already directed Admino to go to that one specific location where they thought, my God.
I told you! Team Forever are spreading themselves out, and this is the exact way they wanted to execute the fight as well. And Team Forever's Mafia just spoils the entire hopes and dreams of Godlike. And Godlike knew as well there was a man who just went for the wide swing, who just went for the complete wide cover. But they completely forgot about Mafia. They saw him move so far away from the compound. Maybe they thought that Mafia took an exit from this entire fray.
Yes.
But Mafia had some evil plans. He wanted to go on the flank, but it's still something Godlike should have thought about.
And that's the whole point about it, right? Because in any normal circumstance, you would think that, yeah, it's the last man standing, they would have gone already. They're not probably going to take the fight against us, specifically when we've got all four standing. But now, Godlike, down to just 2 members, that's going to hurt them. A perfect spoiler play coming in, but Mafia, I mean, let's just say he was taking revenge for his teammates at this point.
Oh yeah, he is. For Team Forever, they've already managed to get 5 elimination points, so it's all good in the hood for them. Team Tamila's getting wiped out like that, but getting so many points in return considering they went for the bounty in the power play itself. So that's going to be doubling the points. Then you've also got Team Z quite close to that zone. Godlike looking quite vulnerable as well. A lot of these teams taking that early hit, but then you completely forget about CG. And look at CG. Spreading themselves wide, knowing the fact that it's fine, yeah, power play's there, but let's just go for the finishing blow instead.
And that's how they normally played as well previously, during the survival week itself. Making sure that they're just not taking those early engagements whatsoever, playing it safe, wanting to prioritize the circle. And that's one of the main reasons why they still had that one chicken dinner, because that's all you needed to confirm that you are over that threshold. Not that very comfortable though, I would still say. But on the other side of the spectrum right now, since we are already talking about some discomfort, WSB being on the receiving end of the spectrum with just Trigger remaining, still surviving, God's Reign as well, only 1 player remaining, but on the other side, Soul, they are pretty happy.
They indeed are. Aiku Soul in the school. Still playing on the edges. A lot of teams, they've taken that individual blows upon themselves. Raven Esports losing out on that one single player off the bat, but getting 18 points in return, it's completely worth it. Godlike just getting 2 points for 2, it's not worth it. And then you've also got WSB losing out on 3 players without getting any sort of points in their hands. Just being stubborn to try and conquer Pachinki against Entity, or against Carpedium, my bad. And it's not working out so far.
Oh,
WSB
Trigger
taking too many shots upon themselves. And Trigger, the last surviving man, the last glimmer of hope alive for WSB, even that vanishes into thin air.
That is indeed true, but now Soul, they've got to either run away from this fight or fully commit to it with Raven, because Raven were the ones who were moving around that area. But it was Knuckle who gets the final blow into Trigger's body, but Ronnie seems to be on the receiving of the spectrum as well. It's got to move backwards as well. You can't really go in straight forward.
Oh no. Okay. Well, it's fine.
Okay.
The threat being neutralized with the vehicle itself. The man does not even need weapons anymore.
Wait.
Raven Esports. They were
God.
cruising past Aiku Soul. And Aim God gets knocked out in return. Aiku Soul this time. They're just being the guardian angels off the entire school area.
But they did not actually get this one finish though. It was the play zone that actually got that. Either ways, nice attempt coming in from their side, but Raven on the other side of the spectrum will be able to survive at least for a while, but I don't really feel Scout's gonna be surviving that. It's Pucar answering back. And what a poetic story this is.
Addy now just trying to back away, but the backup is going to be there. Carpedium Pucar, what a great dodge that was. But then Pucar connects a beautiful shot onto Kylo. And even he gets knocked out. Oh my god, Carpedium bringing the entirety of Team Z on their knees. And slowly and steadily, Carpedium as well. Even they're getting hit back, but it's all down to Syed from Team Z. And I'm not sure if a lot can be done by Syed himself. The players now starting to close on up. Syed's position's completely compromised. He's inside of that shack, and look at Pucar. This man's John Wick with that shotgun in his hands.
But wait a second, the fight is not yet over right at this point because they've got a couple of bodies down and Jonathan is the one who was able to take down one of their players, Gamla Boy if I'm not wrong. So they still have a fight they really need to take. Z-God coming out as well, but will not anticipate the player on the other side. Max supporting his team perfectly. And it's just Jonathan remaining right now at this point.
Max Payne and his teammate playing together, Carpedium. I'm loving this switch up in the playstyle, right? Now Carpedium, they seem a little bit more confident in their approach. Jonathan's got too many nades being tossed upon him. Z-God needs to be revived though. Jonathan and Z-God, the deadly duo, back once again. Such an old duo. We're finally getting a chance to witness these two players play with each other.
Oh!
And now Max Payne. The nades being tossed to perfection. Z-God gets knocked out once again. And Jonathan, there's going to be a massive pounce on top of his head soon. Nades being cooked. Jonathan tosses down in the outskirts. He's being pinned inside of that shack. And Jonathan does not stand a chance at all. Fierce. He just straight up pushes up close and personal.
I told you, man, this is one of the players that you always have to be worried about because when he starts to pop, it just becomes impeccable that he's going to get a few extra picks out there. But for now, one blade was well out in the open. Hanzo was taken out. Now they're taking the fight. And again, but Shista, that's not really what you want to do. Shadow answering back perfectly.
Too greedy for those shots. And he gets punished in return. Carnival Gaming. On top of the rock. Smoke's being tossed around them. But there's also a decent amount of teams around them as well. One blade is one of those. And Carpedium for now in this fight, they've got the advantage. Utilities being tossed from both the sides, and CG is pinned in the center. They're in the sandwich. As Power gets knocked out for now, and CG, can they afford to go back for the revival? That's my question. They definitely can if they want. But somewhere else on the map, it's also Assista Esports taking a fight against Aiku Soul, and Aiku Soul, they seem pretty hurt right now. Shadow OG gets the run over, and it's two of the remaining players in the back lines. The man was on the back of that buggy, but then he gets surprised. The opponent surprised, gets knocked out. Aiku Soul slowly and steadily wanting to get this fight in their hands, but Assista Esports, they deny.
And Aiku Soul not winning it out, and Carpedium at the same time as well have been taken off. 13 finishes for Carpedium. I think so they've done a phenomenal job. But at the same time, similar things could be said for Soul as well. 11 finishes for them. I'd be pretty happy if I was them, but Vixki confirming an limb out there in the open. Kana could not survive. Don't want to save him, and Sarkar needs to run away. Shots being fired, none connected. Yet he sees the player. God. A pixel of the place, but Sarkar still alive.
Still alive behind that rock. Vehicle is right there.
Shadow.
Molly being tossed as well. Instant reposition from the side of Sarkar. And now Nade being cooked as well from the side of Shadow. This might just be perfection. And it is. Shadow finds the knock on to Sarkar. The second player will be finished off as well. Assista Esports, they're being the cleanup crew right now in this late game scenario. They've got the control of this zone. And Reckoning Esports with all the forward players now looking forward to pounce on top of the players of Assista Esports. What is exactly happening? It's chaos inducing all across the board.
It's just prime positioning that Assista had. Everyone wants to steal it away, and they've got such a great one that now finally they decided as well to just move over towards the outskirts too. You do not want to get sandwiched in these situations. But the question is, everyone's got the same idea as well. So you have players on your left as well as on your right. But Apollo seems to be taking care of the members from Reckoning as Immortal tries to fire a few shots on the members of Carnival Gaming, but it still is going to be silence out here for that one player from Team Forever. I want to see how that's going to happen. Mafia outside in the blue will be taken down as soon as I mentioned it.
Yeah, does not have time to patch himself up. Neither did he have any sort of first aids. So yeah, Mafia's demise was inevitable. Wasista Esports, 3 of the players still alive. But they've also got so much map control, it's crazy. They've spread themselves out so wide. Reckoning Esports with the man advantage in this entire final few moments, but that does not matter at all. All it takes is that for the attention shifting on top of the players of Reckoning, and then everything will come crumbling down for them as well. Gravity Jod going for a little bit of stroll around the area, but look at this nade from Wixkey. It's placed to perfection. Goblin now tries to close on up, but this second nade is being tossed to that same area, and it might just find the confirmation that's needed. A lot of nades being tossed in that same area back to back, and we might just see another knock-up follow, and that's what happens as Power gets knocked out as well, and even Shadow finds another knock on to Goblin. Siege's survival now seems next to impossible.
Yeah, it's like if you move forward, then there's a well. If you move backwards, there's a big trench. You can't really survive in this situation. Reckoning is also ready to try and gather a few extra points in their own favor to try and gather some scraps. But at this point, it seems like Reckoning could eventually close it out. They've got the numbers advantage. We've seen them in the similar position. But that time, it was one blade who came out on top back in the map of Miramar. This time around, they've got an opportunity. But wait a second. Is it possible that they've thrown it?
No, they haven't just yet. Reckoning Esports is fine. All the 4 players still standing on the feet. But as soon as I say that, Viper collapses with the vehicle explosion. But now the situation's taken down to a 3v3 if I'm not wrong. Wasista Esports as well, going for that revival on the fallen player. While Reckoning Esports do the same, and now the man advantage once again in the hands of Reckoning. Wasista Esports, do they have any sort of utilities up for grabs? They do have a few. That's going to be 2 smoke grenades and 1 nade. Smoke grenades might just help them close that distance in the nadeable range against Reckoning Esports.
True.
But the utilities from the side of Reckoning Esports as well, they just don't stop raining.
Apollo,
a beautiful find that was. Still 3 players remaining on the side of Reckoning Esports. Now this fight's starting to get a little bit too weird, considering both the teams, they still have a winning shot.
The fun fact is that Wasista are the ones who've got the favor of zone right now, and Apollo is confirming that there's no one pushing in over from right. So he's just trying to make sure that Reckoning, before they move in forward, they've got to flush in some utilities, but Shadow tries to fire in a few more shots, and he gets the knock as well onto Viper. It's going to get even more difficult for Reckoning to push forward.
Reckoning not being proactive in time. That's why now they're starting to face that brunt. Slowly and steadily, the entirety of Reckoning is now collapsing down. It's all down to that one last surviving player, Hunters. Yeah, they should have been a little bit more proactive, utilize the smokes to try and get that upper ground, to try and get that advantage against Wasista Esports. But what a phenomenal game that was. Wasista Esports capitalizing in time, knowing exactly when to push, creating that space for themselves. Apollo finding that initial knockout on top of that hill was really important. And that's how Wasista Esports, they grabbed that chicken dinner.
Absolutely. I wanted to mention how they had the prime positioning through the entirety of those last 2 circles, if I want to talk about it. Because, again, they had a perfect cover in front of them. It was not just the tree or maybe the rock, which rock were not there. And they also made sure that they were having the good information about what's happening on top of them. Just giving up that high ground position, but making sure they've got cover in that range. Massive play.
Indeed, a massive play. But you know what? Let's move on to the stage and look at this interview.
जीत गए हो, लेकिन जीतने के बाद भी बहुत सारी डिस्कशन चल रही है. शैडो, व्हाट्स हैपनिंग? क्या बातचीत चल रही है अब?
हम कुछ नहीं, बस शैडो बता रहे हैं कैसा खेलना आता है, कैसा खेलना है, कैसा नहीं खेलना.
शैडो क्या बोल रहा था इनको?
कि हमने बाउंटी टीम को शायद 4 बंदे मारे कि नहीं मारे.
4 बंदे मारे हैं कि नहीं मारे, ये कॉन्फर्मेशन जो है वो मिल जाएगा. लेकिन अभी चिकन डिनर जो है वो पहले ही मैच में निकाला है, दैट टू ऑफ लीग वीक. कितना ज़रूरी है एंड कॉन्फिडेंस कितना बढ़ेगा इससे?
बहुत, अभी कॉन्फिडेंस तो बहुत बढ़ेगा. मतलब अभी तो पता है मारने से और कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ता है. हम लोग तो ढूंढ ही रहे थे बंदे, फिर हमको मिले नहीं, फिर हमने थोड़ा स्लो खेला, फिर किल पे किल मिलते ही गए.
अब ये शैडो जो तुमने बात बोली थी ना बाउंटी वाली टीम, अब तुम्हें पता है ना इसका जो अगला मैच होगा उसका क्या मतलब है?
हम पे बाउंटी रहेगा, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है हमको. तो
यार क्या प्रेशर नहीं फील कर रहे हो? बिकॉज ये बहुत ही एक रिलैक्स टीम लग रही है अभी. तुम लोग बात कर रहे थे, हंस खेल रहे थे, मुस्कुरा रहे थे. इवन दो एंड में जब वो रिज वाली फाइट चल रही थी उसमें ऐसा लगा था कि यार कहीं ना कहीं चूक हो गई तो फिर ये पूरा गेम जो है हाथ से निकल जाएगा.
नहीं नहीं, हम सबका माइंडसेट चिल ही है, तो हम चिल होकर खेलते हैं एकदम, क्योंकि अपना आईजीएल एकदम चिल है, कुछ है नहीं इसका ऐसा सीन.
कंग्रेचुलेशंस पार्टनर. तो यहाँ पे ऑफ कोर्स शैडो की टीम जो है वो अपना पहला चिकन डिनर निकाल चुकी है. व्हाट अ विन फॉर देम. बैक टू द बॉयज.
नाम नया है, ताकत तो देखी होगी. मास्टर्स बनने आए, अब फायर फाइट होगी.
But you cannot take anything away from Reckoning Esports too. They were doing really good in that final fight. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, they were not too proactive in that one. They should have been a little bit more aggressive in my opinion. They should have went for that forefront. They should have went for that better positioning. Instead, they were comfortable in the spot they found themselves in. Yes, they did try to spread themselves out, but it was a little bit too late where Apollo found the exposed man.
That is indeed true. I really wanted to see them create that smoke wall around them and move forward, deny the information to their opponents, and just try to, you know, take that space away. But as you mentioned, that did not happen, and it was eventually Vashishta having the favor of the zone and making sure that they were also utilizing the entire area perfectly, because Apollo gave out entire information as to what was happening over towards the right hand side of the entire circle. So you really just had a couple of more places to worry about, and Reckoning did not have that space.
Exactly, but you know what, let's move on and look at the MVP of that previous game. It's going to be Shadow OG with 6 finishes and 46% finish contribution. I mean, Shadow, the IGL himself, stepping things up by a mile and himself taking things in charge.
Absolutely. Making sure that, you know, you lead by example, and that's what we've seen a lot of IGLs out here do as well. Making sure that they've got more finishes. I mean, we saw Juicy right away in the opening week itself, and this time it's Shadow also stepping things up specifically when you really need it with all the players from Vashishta. I loved it.
I mean, especially if you do move on and look at the highlights too. You saw Aiku Soul getting targeted. You also saw 8-Bit getting targeted. You also saw Team Xpark getting targeted. Team Xpark getting targeted by Raven Esports. It was definitely quite astonishing to me, because you never think Raven Esports would go for a fight off the rip like that. But knowing the fact that Xpark, they've got the bounty, and if you take him down in the power play itself, that's going to give you double the points.
I mean, 18 points to be very specific, 10 for the bounty, 4 for the LMs, and double, of course, for those 4, because it's the power play going on. And you talk about Raven, I was also surprised by how Team Tamilas pulled themselves up, right? Because, again, I know, I still remember your expression. You were like, nah, they're not going to go aggressive. We know they play slow. And then the next thing we know is that they've lost one member, but they've wiped out 8-Bit. I love that as well.
I think so both the teams, they just had the similar play style, the similar stance in their mind, where both of them, they just wanted to prioritize that compound. And knowing that Team Timilas, they like to play from the center of the zone, they like to prioritize the centric spot, I guess both the teams, their thoughts just collided. And just like that, even their squads collided. And that's why Team Timilas, they were the one to come out on top. And that too, luckily enough for them, they managed to wipe out 8-Bit in the power play. So even they got double the points. So that means 18 points right now are still in their account. So that's a great start for a few of these teams. But then a few teams like Godlike, they still managed to slip away. Even WSP were not able to perform.
I like the approach of Godlike, to be very honest, this time around. We've been seeing them take a very passive play. And that's just how Jerry likes to IGL. He likes to prioritize the positions first. He wants his team to be in a safe spot, and then he decides which fights he needs to take. Punk, he's more like, I want to try and find the fight. I want to see where the people are fighting. I want to find the those positions where they know they can go in for a perfect third party. And that compound was a perfect one to try and take care of what was going to happen at around that spot, because it was Team Tamilas versus 8-Bit there first, and then it went to Team Forever versus Team Tamilas, where Forever won, and then it was Godlike.
I mean, in general, even for Godlike, with the way things were in that fight, it felt like they had the grip quite in a good fashion. but then unfortunately losing their track on that one single player who went for that flank angle, which was Mafia. This should have never happened. They should have known the fact that, yes, Mafia has moved behind them. With the way he went for that rotation, this should have been something that they should have seen coming. But Godlike, they just lost track of Mafia, and that's where Mafia gained the advantage and spoiled the entire game for Godlike.
I would 100% agree because, even I thought Godlike can go out unscathed from that one, and that was a good decision coming in, where it was just the execution that went a little bit iffy. It's absolutely fine. At least we are seeing some change now coming in, right? And since we're talking about the change as well, Orangutan, normally we don't see this team play on so very aggressively early on, but taking the fight against Seoul themselves. Now, here's this fun fact that I also wanted to bring out, right? It was Carnival Gaming, if I remember, that actually secured the 3rd place.
Okay.
All right, they've got a couple of finishes, maybe 3 in their hand. I would have to get a confirmation on that, but I think 3. But if you talk about how both Team Tamilas and Raven played, they're going to finish higher than Carnival.
Hands down. I mean, for CG, as usual, they try to play things as safe as possible. But now you've got the schedule for now in front of our screens. Match 2 is going to be played on Miramar. And as we know, for now, Group D is going to be sitting it out. And Group B will be back in action.
Absolutely. Revenant, Entity, I'm excited to see
Global
how these
Esports.
teams... Exactly, Global Esports too. I want to see how they're going to perform. But my entire eyes are going to be on Mogo. Because let's be honest, Destro, yes, things have been looking really rough for him. Not just through BGMS, but also through this entire year. So I want to see him resurge with his squad. And you really do not expect teams to be sticking together in the situations when you then know that a stray nade could actually land up close and personal. Right now, that's one thing I want to see them improve.
Hands down, eyes are definitely going to be pinned on Mogo Esports, the defending champions themselves, back in Season 3 with a complete new name, but then even Global Esports cannot be underestimated. Let's move on to a short break for now.
Wow. Circle to search. Only on Android.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Time to test the waters. Tell me how you wanna leave. Now you hear me roll like raw in my beastly mode. Now, wow, wicked unleashed. That's wicked. All the cuts and the curves, so wicked. Take what you deserve. It's wicked.
TVS Raider, unleash your wicked. Red Bull gives you wings.
そんな場所だ。全部壊してみっか。俺は塔のてっぺんに登るんだ。
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Garnier Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. By Garnier Men.
What's up, everyone? Come on in.
I got 100 ways that I could make you look. You cannot read me, I ain't no page in a book. But there's 100 ways that I could make you look.
Wow.
Make you look.
Wow.
Look, make you look.
Shave it, shave it, shave it, shave it, shave it, shave it, shave it.
What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? Philips One Blade. Move fearlessly. Innovation and you. Philips.
そんな場所だ。 こうしてみっか。俺は塔のてっぺんに登るんだ。
Red Bull gives you wings.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash with charcoal and vitamin C deeply cleanses dirt and pollution for instantly bright skin. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash by Garnier Men.
To live your life the way you want. Compete like the toughest challenger. Dance like there's no tomorrow. Celebrate every second you are alive. Life has no rule books, but we can give you a stage.
Just moments away from starting the second game of the day, which is going to be Miramar itself. But before we do so, just to remind you guys, Crunchyroll's India's largest anime library with over 800 plus shows and also available in your preferred language. Watch for only 79 rupees per person.
Absolutely, but that's just not it, right? Google Play Days are also live right now, so you can grab the best BGMI offers only on your Android devices.
I mean, so much going on. There's also that TVS Radar right there, which is our mobility partner. Man, there's a lot going on. At this point in time, I would recommend the audience to go and check out everything. Because everything is just way too exciting in my opinion. And even the competition, the heat's amping up as the days are progressing, as the days are passing by.
As you perfectly mentioned as well, because we're seeing some teams go on to that aggressive note, which we never really expected. Raven, Team Tamilas, I really love the way how they're also playing. Even Orangutan, I'm going to put them into the mix. But now, since we're already talking about all of them, right, we know that X-Spark, God's Reign, OG, and Team Tamilas, all of them are not going to play this one game. It's going to be Revenant, Global Esports Entity, as well as Mogo. So I'm really looking forward to how these teams are going to perform.
Now, the players and the viewers, they need to keep one thing in mind. BGMS, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, it's a festival. It takes a long time for the players to try and establish the comeback, and considering you're only playing 2 games per day, not a lot can be expected in just the span of 2 games, right?
True.
You still need to wait and watch. You never know, maybe your favorite team can make a massive bounce back from the latter half of the board, from the bottom positions. I mean, there's so many possibilities that can happen. But for now, let's toss to a short break.
What's up, everyone? Come on in.
I got 100 ways that I could make you look. You cannot read me, I ain't no page in a book. But there's 100 ways that I could make you look.
Wow.
Make you look.
Wow.
Look, make you look.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Another day, another road, and we go. Arrive with a win, moving up, we know where to begin. Wicked on the wheels, get wicked on the wheels. Arrive we go. Wicked on the wheels, get wicked on the wheels. Another day, another road, and we go.
To live your life the way you want. Compete like the toughest challenger. Dance like there's no tomorrow. Celebrate every second you are alive. Life has no rule books, but we can give you a stage.
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. 2x brightening power. With charcoal and vitamin C, deeply cleanses dirt and pollution to fight dullness for instantly bright skin. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. By Garnier Men.
What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? Philips One Blade. Move fearlessly. Innovation and you. Philips.
Wow. Circle to search. Only on Android.
Red Bull gives you wings.
そんな場所だ全部壊してみっか俺は塔のてっぺんに登るんだ
Everywhere I go, dirt and pollution dull my skin.
Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash with charcoal and vitamin C. Deeply cleanses dirt and pollution for instantly bright skin. Try the #1 men's face wash in India. Garnier Men Turbo Bright Double Action Face Wash by Garnier Men.
A few tech issues here and there, but now we're back once again, just a few seconds away from jumping inside of the deserty lands of Miramar. So many expectations will be there, considering it is just the day one of the league stage, but the fans would want their favorite teams to have a nice head start in the competition.
I really want to see how the bounty system is going to impact the early gameplay of Miramar, because normally, even yesterday if I remember, apart from just a couple of fights early on, I don't think so we saw anything more than that. Most of the teams just decided to play laid back, slow for their own game, and then they just took the fights when it was stage 4 and stage 5. But I this time want to see teams step up, change those gears, because again, when we are talking about it, the teams who've got the bounty on their heads are different.
And to remind the audience, BGMS Season 3 is being played on Android device, Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. So that means they're getting some smooth experience, man.
Absolutely. Crispy, clear, smooth. An insane FPS that we always talk about it. And that's probably one of the reasons why we are seeing so many early aggressive fights as well between these teams.
I mean, just look at the screen. It looks huge. Especially if you're a gamer like me. I mean, that's something that's going to give you the extra bit of advantage that you need in the games, right?
Yep.
And even the FPS, the refresh rate on the screen, that's even better. Even the device is quite sleek. But yeah, moving forward with the conversation, this second game is also going to be the last game of the day. And as I mentioned, if you do manage to have a nice head start for yourself, that's even better. I mean, and even the bounty, there's a high chance. The top 4 in the overall standing, it has now shifted.
Washista, it's Soul. These two teams are the ones that I actually saw. Because
maybe even Raven.
Yes, Raven are also there. Raven
going to be
are
Team
also
Tamilis, considering they managed to get 18 points as well. So yeah, so many things are possible now. We'll get to know which team has bounty on top of their head as we move on forward in the deserty lands of Miramar. The temperature's not going to be rising up as the plane fly path starts all the way from Impala towards the opposite side, which is going to be El Pozo.
I love to see this type of plane fly path because you can basically access every corner of this entire map. Be it Los Leones, be it Chumacera, if you want to drop to Picardo, you can. El Pozo as well. So every single thing is covered up along with San Martin, Hacienda del Petron. They really want to try and cover as much landmass as possible. Trust me, if I were you, I would try to jump in over towards Los Leones, where we might potentially see Revenant going up for an early clash. We did see that happen last time, but I don't quite know if that's going to happen right now or not, because again, it was against X-Park. X-Park is not here.
Absolutely. I mean, especially Looking at Godlike as well, moving in towards Puerto Paraiso. First of all, let's be honest, in Season 3, we've seen a big change in Godlike. It's the IGL2, first of all, and second is the drop location towards Puerto Paraiso, because Godlike is known for their Hacienda del Patron drop. And now the fans witnessing them drop towards Puerto Paraiso, this definitely speaks volumes about the confidence this team has right now in the tournament.
I would not deny that at all. Because again, normally, if we're talking about it, Mogo would eventually drop somewhere or Impala as well. I don't think so we're seeing that, but a few early shots being fired already, which we actually heard right now. I would really want to see where the fight is actually taking place, right? And guess what? It's Mogo itself. They don't really want to try and catch some early points in this power play to try and give them a buffer.
Up against Carpedium, huh?
I guess
the rip
so.
like that. Pucar Kamlaboy, they've got a storm approaching them in the name of Mogo Esports. And as you mentioned, the drop location being switched up. That's interesting. I guess they wanted a little bit of peace of
Maybe
that
not.
bounty. But now realizing the fact that it's Carpedium that they're facing off, and X-Spark was in Group D. So maybe? I'm not sure if that's what's happened here. But definitely seems like it, because Team X-Spark, the Electro drop in San Martin, they had the bounty on top of their head in the previous game.
Yep.
And I guess Mogo Esports miscalculated? Of course that's not going to be happening, right? There's no way.
I don't
Why
really
would
feel
Mogo
like.
Esports drop in San Martin?
That's my whole point, right? Because they normally drop around Impala every single time. But it just seems that their game plan has changed a bit. And it's, Carpedium is the team that has got a bounty on their head. So they want to claim the bounty of Carpedium and not X-Spark.
Interesting. I guess in the previous game, Carpedium did quite decent.
Yep. They had early
found
finishes.
themselves in the top 4. So yeah, I guess makes a lot of sense why Mogo Esports is over here now, knocking on the doors of Carpedium. Mogo Esports on the hunt. Carpedium with a big bounty on their back. But still, the fight's not started yet. Both the teams quite hesitant in approaching for the fight, while Mogo Esports, the defending champions themselves, if they do manage to wipe out the entirety of Carpedium, that's just going to be the icing on top of the cake that they need. Mogo Esports, they know how much of a head start this is and how much this is going to be helping them in the longer run. That's why they're here to grab it.
Bit of a bait being done there. But apart from that, absolutely nothing. Hitting the reload on that Thompson. Now they jump in as well. The first one is out there found, but it's Shogun as well falling down on his knees.
Mogo Esports lacking on that firepower a little bit here and there. And out to the shotguns, just straight up smashing their heads. Mogo Esports not even standing a chance for Carpedium. Wow, this is a dream start. Taking advantage of that power play, slowly and steadily shutting down the entirety of Mogo Esports. Destro, he does find Pucar, but that's all he's going to find for now. Double-barreled shotgun in the hand, does not have a lot of bullets in the magazine. The Molotov is being tossed out, but it's a little bit too late. And Destro gets pounded down, just like that.
Pucar is going to be brought back up as well. And again, this time the risk not paying off. Mogo, they only had one game today, and it seems like this is not the exact kind of start where they wanted things to be. But again, it's going to be one blade up against Carnival Gaming. It seems like every single time when we see Carnival Gaming play, there's someone or the other team who's ready to take on them. And one blade, yet again, on the map of Miramar, wants a piece of that. Last time, if I'm not wrong, Carnival Gaming, they lost their fight on this map yesterday. And were early eliminated.
I mean, what is even going on? I mean, you've got the top 4 in front of your screen right now. It's IQ Soul, Raven, Carpedium, and Vasista Esports with 43 points. That's just tough to wrap my head around. And once again, to let you guys know, TVS Raider is our mobility partner. And right now, Carnival Gaming, they definitely need to be a little bit more mobile as well. And that's what they're trying to do.
Here's the fun fact. If I'm not wrong, we did hear Apollo talk about the fact that they were confused if they got the bounty points on Soul or not. And I think so, looking at the 43 pointer they have, they did. They did get the bounty on Soul. So I really love the fact how this team has basically changed the gears in the first game itself.
Specifically, one blade. I mean, 3 of the players on the opposite side. And Carnival Gaming looking forward to isolate these duels. one player at a time. The first man gets strike down. CG, both the players, they do find that isolated duel, and now OG is taken down to a three-man squad. OG in these fights, they just seem really lost. At the start of the day, they faced off against Taiku Soul, and now they're facing off against CG, and they're repeating the same mistakes that they did. It's not OG, my bad, it's OneBlade.
I like the idea of Carnival Gaming this time around again, not shying away from the fight whatsoever. If it's been brought to their doors, they're gladly gonna open it up and then gonna smash the people who try to enter through it without their permission. But as of now, again, Power, Hector, both of them almost creating a crossfire right on these stairs, making sure that if there's anyone pushing, they're gonna be punished. But seems like OneBlade as well, they wanna try and clear out all the other avenues too. Slow approach yet, but I like the idea. Goblin on the outside. Constantly providing so much information, but wait a second. It seems like Carpedium want a piece of pie against Soul.
Gotta love it. But hold on. Carpedium receiving the blows back themselves as well. And Iku Soul now slowly and steadily starting to get the grasp of the fights. Even they've managed to find a lot of that damage against the players of Carpedium, but the man advantage in the heads. But it's really not going to matter when Knuckle tosses a nade like that. And within a flash, you see the entirety of Carpedium being sent back to lobby, but still they managed to squeeze in 12 points or make that 14 in the game itself.
That is mind-blowing stuff with what they pulled out on this one. That is absolutely crazy. That one perfectly cooked nade by Knuckle. Now, even though he's the only man standing, fun fact is no one can actually claim the bounty on Soul now. We'll have to get it checked if all the 4 players of Carpedium were taken down by Soul, because if that is the case, that means 10 additional points to them. And it seems like seeing the 8 that they have, yes, they were able to clear out Carpedium out there. That's a perfect start for their side. Again, 18-pointer. They're going to be almost on top, but for now, it's going to be Omega on the receiving end of the spectrum. Reckoning Esports, you can't really keep this team out of the action for long.
Omega down and dusted. OneBlade as well. They faced a brunt a while ago against CG. And the fight's still going on. And as soon as you speak about it, there we go. Unfolds. Neo was knocked out, but in return, they managed to find another man from the side of OneBlade. And now OneBlade down to a 2-man squad. It's not looking too good. KSR is way too low. And the confirmation follows up. Goblin is missing shots on the man who was knocked out. But then in return, even the players of OneBlade, they do a decent amount of damage before getting taken down themselves. They managed to thirst S-Power. So that's going to be 2 points to take an exit from this game. It's not worth it, but OneBlade, rough luck.
And the same thing could be said for Team Z as well at this point. Addy, Saeed, both of them just out in the open. Absolutely no way for them to survive whatsoever. And a couple of players from their team, I don't think so. They're going to be trying to take any kind of revenge onto Reckoning. But Revenant on the other side of the spectrum want to punish Godlike right now. Punk down on his knees. And Jonathan with that spray. Absolutely perfect in that close range. UMP in his hand. And that is one of the deadliest weapons that you can give him apart from an M4.
Even Z-God with the cover fire was just perfect. And now Blaze's position is unknown. Finally, position is compromised in the entirety of Godlike. There we go. The pounce on top of the opportunity. And just like that, Revenant Esports, if I'm not wrong, they have been eliminated from the game too.
Absolutely. That's quite a crispy wipeout coming in favor of Godlike. And it seems that the aggressive approach that they wanted to start on with, it's going to remain the exact same in this game as well. It did not hamper them that much.
That's what I'm loving to see. Godlike finally switching their playstyle to the aggression. Punk utilizing the firepower that Godlike possesses. And this has been the main problem. Godlike has never utilized their firepower. Instead, they've always thought of playing it safer. But Punk is bringing in this change. As I mentioned, it can either be a change that can put them in a big problem, or it can be a change that was necessary.
And it seems like for now, watching the couple of games, it's the necessary change. They've worked out really well. 8-bit for now on the receiving end of the spectrum. It's Fasista trying to join in, take a piece of the part. Pai as well. Arsalan out here, finding a few shots as Global Esports. They're down to just 3 members, but Juicy is also going to be taken down. Secret out there. If I'm not wrong, he's going to be patching himself back up as well. But at the same time, look at those long nades being tossed in by Slug. Does not catch anyone out there, but with that 8-bit, they're going to take an early exit yet again.
8-bit rough luck. But still, they had 4 finish points, I guess. Something that's going to give them that hope.
Maybe.
I mean, they've got 6 points so far. Fine, I guess. Just the day one, right? As I mentioned, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You've got enough game to try and recover from this entire stance. Kylo misses so many shots! The man was moving in and out of the smoke. That way, Kylo was not able to capitalize well enough, and Hunters, that's where he got the advantage. Kylo should have strafed as well, but instead, Kylo was like a turret. He wasn't moving too much. That strafe from the side of Hunters, it worked out perfectly, but then in return, Hunters gets knocked out. And now it's all down to Scout OP. He's tossing in that nade. I'm not sure how much damage can be dished out with that one. Pulling out the shotgun up close and personal, but still the opponents are a little bit way too far away. And now Scout starting to second guess his decision. It's better if just Scouts walks away from this fight.
I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, even the power play is over. I was about to say if in case you can grab a couple of points for the power play, that would be good, but that's just not the case right now. No opportunity for him whatsoever. They've got a couple of finishes, but that's about it. Which has basically given them those 4-point. Wouldn't exactly call it a buffer, but right now, Scouts, yeah, he's been set from multiple directions. There's no way he's going to survive that. Probably gets one knock, but that's about it. Switches to an S12K. Such a far range. Yeah, that's done.
Even one knock was way too much to ask for. And just like that, Reckoning Esports, the nails in the coffin. Team Z, out of the game once again. And I guess Scout, he's got a lot to say to his teammates.
True.
Considering he was the only man who was left alive, you can clearly see the frustration on his face. He knows he messed up big time. He knows his teammates messed up big time. It feels like Team Z, they're just not finding that groove. They're just not finding that sweet spot that's needed. They still need some fine-tuning. And I'm not sure what type of fine-tuning they need, but they need something.
Probably the circle to search of Android.
I mean, while we still have the game running on, don't forget that Google Play days are live on Google Play Store. And not just that, circle to search on Android devices.
Absolutely. You need to know about anything, just draw a circle. And you're gonna get that information right in the palms. But since we're already talking about some information, right? Mafia is gonna be trying to hunt for some as well. All the way out, if I'm not wrong, towards Lazar. Just gonna try and gather some of those utilities, probably those first aids, to try and tank up as much damage from blue as possible. Probably get some healing stun to help his team. They did not have a brilliant start for the previous game too, if we're talking about it. A decent one. Nothing taken away, but here's the fun fact right now. Necro, that only Raven is the squad that's got a bounty on their head which you can claim.
Raven. Or maybe you can't say Vasista Esports. You could have said Vasista Esports, but unfortunately for them, they've lost out on one player.
Yes. Same goes.
I'm not even sure if you're as a team, if that's a good thing or a bad thing, right? Because at the same time, you're nullifying the chances for someone else to grab 18 points or maybe 14 points if you've only got 3 players up and alive. But if you've also got 4 players, then that's going to give you the edge that you need in the game. So I guess this is like a middle ground that they found. It's not something to be proud of. It's not something that's bad as well, because 3 players up and alive, that means the opponents do not have a chance to grab those 10 points anymore.
I think so with the way how format is going. Wait a second, we'll talk about that in a while. Somraj, he basically finds Knuckle, so that's going to be Team Soul taking their exit. If I'm not wrong, in total that's going to be 18 points because they were able to take down Carpedium. So I think it's still a pretty decent one for their side. Now, yeah. Coming back to the same point which I wanted to mention, it seems that teams would eventually go for a 3-1 split maybe to try and avoid keeping all the 4 players intact, specifically the ones who've got a bounty on their head. Maybe.
Talk about the bounty. And Godlike, finally you can't say, a pack of players on the hunt.
True. After
a while, for the first time after a while.
months.
Godlike on the aggressive stance, and I'm pretty sure even the fans are going to be super happy after this. Raven Esports, better watch out. There's a big bounty on top of your head. It's better to play safe, I guess. Just try and go for the end game. And that's what Raven Esports will try to capitalize. They've got a really good spot in the zone, too. So all they need to do is just be aware of the surroundings. That's it, and keep on gathering the constant info.
That's what they're doing, as you've been talking about that information, right? Because even in the previous one, we saw them trying to prioritize that high ground, trying to prioritize the circle. And since it's the map of Miramar, such a dry map, I believe this is one of the first few times when I'm actually seeing only 28 players remaining when it's just stage 2. We normally would see at least over 50. I like it.
Well, aggressive, I guess, as usual. That's what teams are being forced to do. I like that skin.
I know. I knew you'd say that.
But yeah, getting back towards the conversation of Raven Esports.
Good
Newer
skins.
players, newer kits on the block. Still remember, in the past, in an official tournament that was casting, Reaper was the man who was initially able to put up so many numbers on the board, and then later on when it mattered the most in the lower bracket of that tournament, it was AimGod who stepped up majorly. And AimGod was the one who pretty much helped the team secure that slot in the grand finals for that team. So Raven Esports, you can't say all the players, they do pack a lot of punch, but sometimes they can miss that track as well. The team play can be of concern sometimes.
And right now, since I've also heard in the interview as well, right, from Scout himself, that it is actually a team game. And you need that team play to be on top consistently. It's going to be important. That consistency is going to be the key. And one of the team that has basically been pretty consistent is obviously going to be Vashishta Esports. I mean, the underdog stepping up big time, but for now, Ninja Boy needs to run out of this fight, not in a prime position to try and to take a few extra blows onto their head. Just going to be moving backwards.
Oh no, Beast the Clutch Master himself down and dusted this early.
Yeah, I believe it was during the power play itself when Beast was taken down. Happens, and you really want to see Beast outperforming everyone because he stands up to his name.
Global Esports, a band of young players, young bloods you can say. Before, Mayu was the one to bring in that experience, but now every single player in this team is a young face. They've got that boiling blood, if you'd like to say.
True.
Just want to find the right timing to try and pounce on top of the opportunity. And Global Esports, with the way they were playing in the past, quite aggressive. It was working out for them. But right now, this is not the same Global Esports that I saw a few months back. I think Global Esports is much more calm, composed.
Yeah.
They're taking their time in executing the fights. They're not even trying to prioritize too much of the power play.
I guess it's going to be in the last few days of the week when we'll see this team step things up. I believe when we'll see the impact player and stuff. We'll talk about that in a while too. But on the other side, I really wanted to talk about WSB, right? The team that actually left an impact after the first game of the first day. But after that, they have been kept quiet.
Yeah, audience, don't forget, Google Play Days are now live on the Google Play Store. Get your hands on the latest BGMI deals.
Really do not want to miss that whatsoever.
I mean, there's a reason why we call BGMS as a festival, right?
It is.
I mean, the players are getting something, that's the bragging rights, but even the audience, they're getting amazing offers and some new stuff to witness. And some of the glorious moments for their favorite teams and the favorite players. And right now, Slug missing on the opportunity. He could have capitalized on top of Hector, but he finally does. Good spray. Hector shut down. Instant confirmation. Slug, nicely done. Global Esports just sweeping that under the rug.
Everything was thrown at Hector apart from the kitchen sink. So now Carnival Gaming, they've got to play without their IGL as well as without S-Power, their newest addition. So again, it's going to be all eyes on Goblin people would want to see him outfrag every other person out in the lobby. It's going to be difficult to do so, but again, sometimes you also talk about the fact that if in case the IGL has been taken down, yes, it's a blow to a team, but then the IGL can actually watch all three POVs and guide his team in an even better way. That has basically been the case with Revenant.
So you're saying Sensei is better off just getting eliminated off the rip like that?
That's absolutely not what I mentioned, but okay.
Well, I mean, technically that's what you mentioned, right?
If the push comes to shove and the worst of the worst happens, then what I feel is that the IGLs, they feel a bit more comfortable if they are the ones who get knocked out rather than their top fraggers.
Well, there's definitely some second thoughts I would like to have. But
True.
Because as an IGL, if you're also giving call-outs just sitting far away when there's a fight going on, then that's called backseat gaming. And that's not something IGL would want to do. So he avoids giving call-outs when there's a fight going on. Yes, rotation calls, fine, they can be given. But during fights, it can be a little bit annoying, especially when the player's not in the game. So, yeah. Entity, for now, at the top, taking so many shots against Vasista Esports.
Oh my god!
Secret. Nice headshot that was. Try. Suppress for now. And yeah, Try eventually does find that knockout as well. Nicely done. The confirmation. Just looking forward to scoop that. Just needs to tap away. There we go. Trying to tap it. Connection.
Okay.
Finally found.
Finally. If I'm not wrong, that was also maybe because of the vehicle explosion, or it was just the bullet traveling for a far distance. That is, of course, a joke. But yeah, either ways, they actually managed to grab, if I'm not wrong, 2 finishes out of this. So they're going to be super happy about it, but maybe not Vashishta. They've just got one more player remaining right now. But wait a second, Carnival Gaming seems to be on the receiving end of the spectrum. It seems like we've seen a lot of Reckoning, Global and Carnival right now moving around in those open grounds. All of them similar idea of the similar positioning.
Gravity Jawed from the top, raining down bullets. I mean, a little bit of scratch here and there, fine. Goblin, Neo, 2 remaining players. They've seen a lot, but they've also managed to gather 8 points. So in my opinion, that's not bad at all. It's a great way to kickstart things for yourself. CG with 8 points on the board in this game. They've got a formidable foe on the opposite side in the name of Global Esports. And Global Esports, you can't say these guys are absolute animals. They will tear you apart.
Specifically Ninja Boy, since we're talking about it. He's a man who has been one of the top fraggers of the entire tournaments, right? If I'm not wrong, in BGMS Season 2, he was the one who was MVP.
Shots taken.
None connect.
Luckily for Neo.
Very lucky.
I mean, he's
indeed.
facing off against Ninja Boy. And he's known for his accuracy.
Mafia?
Team Forever's Mafia.
Oh.
Man all by himself, still alive. Waiting for the right moment to strike and finally finds the pounce. Wants to be the Prowler. Unfortunately, the pounce is not going to be accurate enough and Mafia misses the opportunity. He could have got the advantage as well. Or maybe you can't say the neutralizer that's needed. Instantly moves in towards the Aston Martin and now is on the move as well. He knows it's time to move inside of the zone. He needs to prioritize that. It's not too far away, but then if he does keep on moving away with that same pathway that he's looking forward to do, then he's going to meet the players of Raven Esports soon enough. And Raven Esports right now, they've got their own trouble to deal with.
Oh, that seems like they want to create some trouble for Global Esports. We'll be talking about that as Punk for now will be brought down on his knees. And it seems like with just that, Reckoning were able to wipe out Godlike. Or maybe, yeah, it's a full-fledged wipeout coming in from their side. That was such a phenomenal play. There's one person remaining though.
But you can say this was the best performance from Godlike so far.
Yeah, that is true. I mean,
8 points.
They've got more points in this game itself as combined points if you compare it with the opening week.
Yeah, it's better to play aggressive, right? Imagine if you keep on getting 8 points per game.
Yep.
That's a better average. Still, you can keep on squeezing yourself in the future stages with ease. Global Esports, big blunder. Ninja Boy knocked out for now. Global Esports, Arslan still trying his best to fight back. As Raven Esports, they're constantly creating those troubles. And now Arslan runs out of bullets in the shotgun, but then he switches to the M4, and he still conquers the battle.
Arslan, perfect play coming in from the man himself. And finally putting an end to the misery of the other side. Phenomenal play coming in from them, but Slug is just going to move out, get a confirmation onto Goblin. Global Esports still have an opportunity, still have a chance at to grab probably somewhere around 7 to 8 more points too. Mafia is just going to try and act as a spoiler on the outskirts of that circle. He's just going to try and collect as many scraps as he possibly could. You still need to get that res up, and in the hands by WSB, Z-God, the only man from Godlike remaining, needs to be a god right now, tries to use the shotgun, but at the end of the day, still the shots connected, but not enough damage.
Last man barely surviving. Z-God with the advantage. All it takes is one single bullet connection, and that's what he's looking for. There we go. Z-God with a 1v3. Shuts down the entirety of WSB. The man comes in for the first time, and he instantly shocks every single person in the arena. Z-God single-handedly manhandling WSB like that. Godlike, they've got so many points, 11 points in this game. Impressive stuff. The fans are now definitely going to be ignited with a lot of hope.
Surely should be. How dare anyone doubted the man himself, Z-God being the god, descending from the heavens to help his team. But for now, Hunters need to help his teammate. Gravity Jord needs to be brought back up on his feet and need to become the black hole too. Take the life out of all the opponents out there, and Viper trying to provide some cover for his teammates to try and get that res in on time, as Entity would want to look to push forward as Global Esports has been taken care of. Off camera though, 10 finishes for themselves, and I think so they managed to get a good amount of finishes in this situation. It's Entity, one player from Forever, Z-God from Godlike, 3 from Reckoning, and 1 from Vasista.
Interesting stuff. And Reckoning now continue to pepper down some shots. Entity's doing really good too. Hold on. They have been slipping under the radar.
Yes.
Still alive with all the 4 players. That's really good. But then you've only got top 5 teams left alive. And Entity's one of those. And look at Troy's positioning. This is brilliant from Somraj. Positioning Troy at the top of the hill like that. Impressive stuff. And now Troy
wants to try and get a few more shots as well, but just could not do that. Oh my god. A friend in need is a friend indeed. Viper just saving the life of his teammate at the last edge. Will bring his teammate back up, so disadvantage not gonna increase, but unless this nade lands in, does a lot of damage. Hunter should be brought down on his knees yet again.
Yeah, Toy
comes
just down now. Toy's united with the team. Look at Equinox from the far fray taking shots. You can see Reckoning Esports, they're pinned from all the directions. They can move a lot. The freedom's now taken away from them. And Somraj now is the dictator. He's the one to dictate the pace and the fight.
I mean,
and the entire arena around him. And look at Mafia at the top. Even his position's compromised. Oh, Mafia can be the third party.
Probably. It's only Reckoning who can actually pose a big of a threat to the side of Entity, but that does not seem to be happening as well, because again, it's down to just Gravity remaining. So it's basically a 4v1v1v1. We know who's going to win in that one. Wait a second.
Mafia. Life put to an end. Reckoning Esports, Gravity Jod with 3, Hunters with 3. Reckoning Esports now just taken down to that one last man. Definitely hurts. But they're here in the top 4. If Gravity Jod stays alive for a bit longer, if he waits for Apollo to get eliminated too, that's going to put this team in a really good spot. And Z-God is still up and alive, by the way.
That's the whole point, and he can eventually find a timing to drop inside the circle as well, unless Aquanox spots him. So he's got to wait. He's right at the edge, so not going to take damage whatsoever. I love the way how he's playing and how he's positioning himself, because that's the best way that you can try and find as much value out of it as possible. You really want Apollo or maybe Gravity Jod to gather the attention of Entity. If you're Z-God, to try and find some value maybe on that angle, because again, Somraj is also out there on the watchman duty.
Z-God is screwed though. Where can he move?
Nowhere.
He's pinned. Let's see, I mean, if he's got some smokes, then maybe the escape route can't come through. or the repositioning that is crucially needed, that can happen. But if that does not happen, well done, unfortunate. Entity, Assista Esports is Apollo. Position compromised for now. Z-God is taking a lot of that damage from the blue, and the same thing can be said for Gravity Jot as well.
Perfect.
Utility tossed to perfection. Entity just ruling. As I mentioned, Samraj is the dictator right now. And Entity's ruling this entire final zone. Looking unstoppable. Godlike's player is outside of the zone, and even Reckoning's player still outside of the zone. And probably they're going to end up giving their lifelines to the play zone. Both these players are fighting for the second spot inside of the game. And Z-God's got 6 first aids in his hands.
Second position for Godlike confirmed. No way he's going to lose that. A phenomenal performance coming in from Godlike. But we've got to sing the praises of Entity as well. They took that high ground positioning early on, kept on to it, always checked their vicinity, made sure that there was absolutely no one on their 6, sent Raven back, picked off the members of Vashishta, and then also at the end picked apart Reckoning with that perfect position, perfect callouts. It is going to be Entity getting that winner chicken dinner. Z-God, I mean, come on, man. At this point, you know you're second.
Yeah, you're second. Godlike. The comeback now seems possible. Godlike, if they keep on playing the same way, man, Godlike, they can be in the runners for the champion as well. But yeah, Entity, a chicken dinner to end the day. Samraj and the boys are definitely going to have a really nice sleep tonight.
Nice sleep indeed. This team performing miracles. We wanted to see that happen. We are seeing it happen. Entity Gaming. Now, here's the thing. This team will eventually have the bounty tomorrow on their head. So it's going to be even more fun.
Definitely they will. But this game of Miramar was definitely quite action-packed. It was mixed with a lot of emotions, but you can't say it was all about Godlike as well. True. Their comeback, finally doing something that was needed to be done, playing aggressive. But let's move on to the stage for a short interview.
साम्राज, कोई तो जड़ी बूटी चल रही है भाई अच्छी तरीके से. ये एंड्रॉइड अरीना जो है जहाँ पे लक ने शायद साथ नहीं दिया पहले 2 सालों में, वहाँ पे अब किस्मत जो है वो बदलती नजर आ रही है.
किस्मत तो अच्छी है मेरी. और हाँ, चिकन डिनर अभी स्टार्टिंग डे में एक टीम को बूस्ट दिया छोटा सा.
ओके, ये जो बाउंटी वाला फॉर्मेट आया है, क्या इसको पूरी तरीके से समझ चुके हो? बिकॉज हमने वो भी देखा आपके इस पूरे मैचअप में कि आप उसका फ़ायदा उठा रहे थे. क्या आगे जाके भी ये स्ट्रैटेजी जो हमें दिखने वाली है?
अभी तो हम एनालाइज ही कर रहे हैं. अभी हम सीख रहे हैं दूसरी टीम से कि अभी क्या कर रहे हैं लोग. बाउंटी पॉइंट सिस्टम क्योंकि अभी बहुत ज़्यादा बेनिफिट दे रहा है टीम को, तो हम भी ट्राई करेंगे कि जो अपने आसपास की टीम्स को अगर बाउंटी है तो उनको मार के कैसे हम लोग पॉइंट टेबल में और ऊपर जाए. वो हमारा टारगेट रहेगा आने वाले मैचेस में.
ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं हुआ है आपकी पूरी टीम को बनाए हुए, एंड जैसा अभी थोड़ी देर पहले हमारे कास्टर ने बोला था दैट घाई में आपकी टीम जो है वो बनी है, लेकिन ये सिनर्जी जो है नाउ गोइंग इनटू दिस बिग टूर्नामेंट, क्या वो सेट हो चुकी है?
सच बताए तो हमारा टीम सिर्फ 3 घंटे में बना है. और बात रहा सिनर्जी का, वो बाय टाइम आ जाएगा.
वेल, टाइम इनके साथ है बिकॉज इन्होंने अपना चिकन डिनर निकाला है जब लीग वीक की आज शुरुआत हुई है. और बैक टू यू बॉयज राइट नाउ एट द स्टूडियो.
लाइनअप बदला है, इरादे नहीं. इस बार ट्रॉफी हमारी है, कोई बहाने नहीं. 1 गेम 1 एंटिटी.
I mean, Entity, after that chicken dinner, definitely feeling a little bit more confident. Before Godlike, this was something we all were waiting for.
True.
Godlike's comeback now just seems possible out of nowhere.
Everyone seems to be like the hope is real at this point, because you really wanted to see them perform, and with the way how they performed, yes, all the eyes are now shining bright in the sky as well, looking to see where Godlike deserves to be, where this team has got to the potential to show all of us. So I'm really happy.
But you cannot take anything away, even from Global Esports. This is the exact thing I was about to mention. Slug was taking so many fights. This man was in the front lines of every single battle Global Esports was taking. 5 finishes wrapped up and 62% finish contribution. That's really phenomenal from Slug, a young man.
True. I mean, we've been talking about the team of Global Esports as to how many young bloods they have.
Yeah.
And honestly, Mabi was the one who had the experience. But now since Ninja Boy is IGLing the team, I think so they're still actually putting up a good fight.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the highlights off the rip, you also saw Carpedium getting targeted by Mogo Esports. We saw a couple of these interesting fights where Mogo Esports unfortunately failed to fans, but then even CG, they were able to shut down one blade in a decent fashion.
That's the whole point about it, because how we've been seeing things happen at this situation. I love how teams are switching up onto that aggressive note, because Mogo is known to be the team that also likes to play in a bit more passive, right? They're trying to drop in, trying to claim that bounty against Carpedium, but then again, it was Carpedium who basically ended up getting all of those early 8 points. But that was not just it, right? I also love the fact how there were so many teams going in for those rotations and were hunting the other players down.
Yeah, for Team Z, once again, they repeated the same mistake, right? Not been able to do a lot. Team Z, Scout was the only man who was left alive in the final few moments, and unfortunately, they choked that up. For Global Esports, they were looking really good. Controlled aggression, if you'd like to say. They knew exactly what to do, and just looking at the fact that these 4 players, they're quite the young guns, they're still doing quite good for themselves. And then this clutch from Z-God, a 1v3 to close things off for Godlike. I mean, it's something that the fans have been waiting for, and I guess even you've been waiting for too long.
I mean, I love to see all those clutches, right? And we know the potential of the Godlike team, so seeing that clutch, seeing these players get back into their prime, this is what we were discussing. If they get back in their prime, it seems that everything is going to be over for the entire lobby. So I love the fact how they came back and they showed that. But on the other side, I also love to see all those team plays that come into play, and that's where Entity shined in perfectly.
Hey, but you know what? For now, let's move on towards the match rankings, because this is what's going to matter the most. Global Esports, 22 points secured. Now, this is what you call surprises.
Okay.
And then you've got Aiku Soul with 19 points on the board. Reckoning Esports with 18. Even Reckoning did really good. Entity with 17. Look at Carpedium with 14. Carpedium in the opening week wasn't doing too good. I guess Carpedium were holding up a lot of surprises themselves.
Probably, because again, it was the first 3 days where you only had 4 games to play. So I really feel that it was pretty difficult for all of these teams to decide as to if they want to play in aggressive or passive. But after that confusion is over and now it's a marathon, it's going to be even more crucial for not just the top teams, but also for Mogo, WSB, and all the teams on the second page that we saw, because they need to step things up now. Every day is a sprint. Every map is a sprint.
WSB, Mogo, and Raven, rough luck today, right? Especially for WSB and Mogo. Mogo, this was their first game of the day, and they started things off at 0 points. Before Raven Esports, their first game, they got a decent amount of points to back themselves up. So you can't say they already made it up for the second game in the first game itself, considering they took down the bounty team, which was X-Spark. But as we do see the Philips one blade moments off the day in front of us, and this is how the day really started off, right? Every single player had nice smiles on their faces, and Godlike, and especially Team Z, knew exactly how much is at the stake. Scout, he knew exactly what happened in the opening week. He knew he messed up. He knew he let down the fans. And the man is on the path for redemption. But the day one wasn't their way just yet. But as I mentioned, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So fans, do not jump to conclusions just yet. Maybe Team Z can start to make a comeback just the way Godlike did.
And that's the hopium that we've always been talking about, right? Because teams switching up their own style have now got to basically get habitual as to what's being brought onto the table. So we even heard Entity talk about the exact same thing, that they're still learning, teams are still evolving, so it is possible Team Z would eventually be falling into the same thing. But one team that I really wanted to see shine was Forever, but they could not. Their shine was taken away, but Vashista Esports definitely did in that map of Erangel.
Vashista Esports has been quite a glorious team, right? Being led by Shadow. Now this team does not lack aggression at all. I still remember the previous Vashista Esports a few months ago that I witnessed. That was one of the most passive teams that I witnessed. But now that you add on Shadow in the roster, he brings in that aggression that's needed. And now Vashista Esports, they just seem like a well-knit unit.
And they played in the exact same manner. Not just in one, but even in the second one as well. If not for Entity shutting them down onto their rotations itself. But honestly, another team. We talk about shutting down moment and then Z-God pops up out of nowhere. Outworldly performance from this man.
Impressive stuff. That's all I can say. Wasista Esports, as usual, just being consistent. But then Mogo Esports, the defending champions themselves, are now going to be looking forward to redeem themselves after such a bad day. Tomorrow's day is going to be something that Mogo Esports will be looking forward to hit back. Even WSB, they need to start doing something.
I love how you touched the point on WSB as well, because yes, a team that performed out of their mind on day one, but again have not yet been kept up on top. But honestly, the one man who's consistently performed throughout the first week as well as now is performing is Knuckle, of course. I mean, leading with example.
I mean, just like Knuckle, you too can move fearlessly with our Philips One Blade. But for now, let's move on to the stage for a short interview.
हम आज में हैं या हम कल में हैं? Because Knuckle से कल भी बात हुई थी और आज भी बात होने वाली है. Because as it says, he's the standout player of the day. भाई कल बोला था ना कि मान्या जो है वो लीग वीक में आएगा. अभी फिक्सेस भी थोड़ी देर पहले बोल रहा था कि हाँ मान्या एक्सपेक्टेड. मान्या तो नहीं आया.
हाँ, हमें भी लगा था कि मान्या खेलेगा, बट उसका थोड़ा डिवाइस पे हाथ सेट नहीं है अभी, इसलिए.
ओके, 8 फिनिशेस निकाले हैं. इंडिविजुअली आज की परफॉर्मेंस जो है वो कितना कॉन्फिडेंस देगी, क्योंकि अब हम लीग वीक में हैं, क्योंकि यहाँ पे एवरी गेम इज ओनली गोइंग टू गेट टफर.
लाइक इंडिविजुअल परफॉर्मेंस पे इतना ध्यान नहीं है अभी, क्योंकि बस इतना है कि 4 सोल्डर्स खेल रहे हैं तो सबको अपना बेस्ट देना है. और इंडिविजुअली मैं देखता नहीं हूँ इतना अपना, क्योंकि फ्लो बना हुआ है अभी, तो चलते रहने दूंगा, सोचूंगा नहीं इस बारे में.
और ये जो बाउंटी वाला रूल आया है, जो बाउंटी वाला फॉर्मेट है, उसमें हमने देखा कि ओरंगुटान के साथ आपकी एक फाइट चल रही थी पहले मैच में. तो ये बाउंटी वाला रूल जो है वो पूरी तरीके से समझ आ गया एंड कैसे उसको एक्सप्लॉइट करना है, क्या उसकी समझ आ गई?
हाँ, लाइक समझ तो आ गया, बट हमें कुछ खास प्लान बनाने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती, क्योंकि हम पहले से ही सोच के आते हैं कि हाँ इसी टीम को मारना है.
ओके, आपके फैंस आपको क्या बुलाते हैं?
बैटमैन.
क्यों बुलाते हैं?
वो नहीं पता.
लेकिन डू यू फील गुड कि फैंस जो हैं उनसे इतना सपोर्ट मिल रहा है टू परफॉर्म एट दिस एलीट लेवल?
हाँ, फैंस के लिए तो बहुत प्यार है दिल में.
ओके, होल्ड. इसी कैमरा पे हम ये सारे जो तुम्हारे दोस्त बैठे हुए हैं उनको भी बोल दो, क्योंकि वो तुमसे बहुत ज़्यादा इम्प्रेस्ड हैं. सो जॉनी, फिक्सेस एंड क्रैक, देयर दे आर. तीनों से मुड़ा नहीं जा रहा है. देयर यू गो. ऑलराइट, बैक टू यू बॉयज.
I mean, Knuckle, of course. He's a man with few words, and that's why maybe they call him Batman, because he also provides quite a lot for the team.
Absolutely
Saves the day, too.
Becomes the standout player of the day, and apparently for 2 straight days now. He's basically on a hat trick.
Wow, I mean, there's definitely a chance if he keeps on moving up the same way. But just to let you guys know, TVS Raider is our mobility partner. It's not just all about looks. There is a Smart Connect version with 99 connected feature. And guess what? It apparently comes with a 5-inch TFT screen. Now, isn't that super wicked?
It indeed is. And also that look of the Iron Man edition. You talk about that. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Whenever we talk about it, think about it, it always happens in that same way. But I want to have a look at which team is on top right now.
Oh, the top 4 now will be having a bounty on top of their head tomorrow. Vasista Esports, Haiku Soul, Carpedium, and Reckoning Esports. Get ready, because tomorrow, you guys will be having a big sign on your back, and everyone is going to be looking forward to locate you on the map. And then you've got Global Esports, Raven Esports, and Godlike right there. Finally in the top 10, or maybe you can't say in the top 8. The fans are now going to be having the nice smirks on their faces, and this is what we all have been waiting for.
What I really love is the fact that they've got 13 finishes. They've got double the amount, more than double the amount of finishes than they've got the position points for, and none of them has been for the power play, none of them have been for the bounties or anything. So imagine once that also kicks in. But one team that we were not expecting to see on the down-bottom spot was definitely God's Reign. I mean, I expected more from this team.
I mean, this has always been my take. Godlike, they're a powerhouse. They've got so much potential. They've got so much firepower, but it felt like it was never being utilized. And now finally, as you see the IGL shifting towards Punk, he uses that firepower. He knows Godlike packs a lot of punch. And then you've also got the most wicked players, and it's going to be Knuckle with 8, Max with 7, Shadow OG with 6 from Vasista Esports. And keep this thing in mind, Shadow is the only IGL in this entire thing. Or maybe you can't say even Knuckle is right there, so yeah.
Okay, finally. Z-God is also here into the mix as well. Slug is out here with 5 finishes, Mafia on the other side. But hey, I was actually taken aback. I was literally sitting like this. And the reason for that was, it's just the first day. Knuckle has got 8 finishes.
Yeah.
8 finishes. I mean, the maximum that we probably saw were 11 during the entire survival week. So it was mind-blowing.
I mean, maybe you can't say he should be the one to be chosen on the weekend. But with that being said, today's day comes to an end. It's been a pleasure to be here on the desk. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a new season of daily BGMI action. This time with even more competition. This time with even more comedy. With a lot more jaw-dropping moments. And also a few that many would want to forget. And for the first time ever, enjoy BGMI Master Series with Android. Welcome back to the biggest ever BGMI Carnival on national TV.